Chapter 232. Help me? Wang Kai was stunned when he heard that. He vaguely remembered that when they met in Fan Province, Kong Ro was lively, cute, and smart. But now, the smile that he used to have on his face was filled with bitterness. Let him help you? Humph. Even if he is the crown prince of Jubao Lu, he can't even protect himself today. How can he help you? The old woman snorted disdainfully. Kong Ro's eyes darkened when she heard that. She lowered her head and pursed her lips tightly. Drops of tears rolled down her cheeks. You said that Ben Xiao can't even protect himself? Ha! You're just an old peacock. How dare you talk to Ben Xiao like that? Do you know that even if a Saint Emperor comes in front of this young master, he will have to respectfully greet Grandpa Kai? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly as he sneered playfully. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have gained 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Nioja Tian rolled his eyes and said telepathically, that little girl from the Peacock clan has the blood of Mahamayuri in her veins. She's showing signs of returning to her ancestors, but she's still too weak. Even so, she's being abused by Saint Emperor of the Peacock clan. Little boy, I don't mind if you save her, but after that, you must make her my disciple. Mahamayuri's blood was showing signs of atavism? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked in confusion, shouldn't Mahamayuri be a Buddhist cultivator of Buddhism? That's right. You said that the Peacock clan is a useless clan because Mahamayuri is a Buddhist cultivator. He will not interfere with the clan's affairs, Nioja sneered. I see. Wang Kai shrugged and looked at the old woman indifferently. He raised his arm and pointed at Kong Ro, chuckling softly. Hand her over to Ben Xiao. Ben Xiao will not bicker with the Peacock race. Otherwise, even if the Peacock race is not destroyed today, it will be destroyed in the future. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Kong Ro abruptly raised her small head, her large eyes sparkling with hope. The look in his eyes seemed to be asking Wang Kai if this was real. Impudent. A mere ignorant human dares to make an enemy of the noble Peacock clan? This Empress will let the #1 genius of the Peacock clan come out and fight with you on account of your low cultivation level. The old woman sneered. Because of his low cultivation level? Wang Kai sneered when he heard that. He shrugged and snorted disdainfully. You are just worried about the Empress of Fanzhou. You don't have to make it sound so nice. I can't believe that at your age, you are still looking for an excuse to act tough. Whoosh! As soon as these words came out, the old woman was so angry that her face turned ashen. With a flip of her hand, a cold golden light shot towards Wang Kai. You are so young, and yet you speak so rudely. This Empress will teach you a lesson on behalf of the Empress of Fanzhou. Whoosh! Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he saw that. He could not fight against a holy emperor. He immediately moved and pulled Nioja Tian in front of him. Old Nio, it's time to show your strength. Kill her. Bang! The beam of light hit Nioja Tian's body, but it didn't do anything to him. Nioja Tian's body shook violently, but he wasn't injured at all. Pa pa pa! Nioja Tian snorted disdainfully and said mockingly, even your ancestor, Mahamayuri, couldn't hurt your Grandpa Nyo. Do you think you could defeat your Grandpa Nyo? Whoosh! Such a scene immediately caused the old woman's expression to change drastically. She was unwilling to believe that even if she hadn't attacked with her full strength, she wouldn't have been able to block it so unscathed. Even if it was a saint ruler, they should have been severely injured by this attack. Could it be that this bull demon was an emperor among saints? Thinking about that, the old woman's expression changed again. She looked at Nioja Tian and asked, Who are you, your excellency? Which mountain did he cultivate on? His name is... Pa pa pa. Nioja Tian snorted and said proudly, Black Tortoise Mountain Range, Nio 2 Mountain Range, Nioja Tian is your Grandpa Nyo. He had heard of Black Tortoise Mountain, but Oxhead Ridge and Oxhead Mountain. Grandmother, why do you have to be so cautious? Even if he's an emperor among saints, he can't do whatever he wants in our territory, can he? Whoosh! A crisp and delicate snort sounded and a graceful woman in blue floated up into the sky from the dense forest. She was about 22 or 23 years old. Her blue dress was so short that people could see her thighs. It was more like a thin veil covering her thighs than a dress. Wang Kai clearly saw Kong Ro's delicate body tremble violently when she saw this woman appear. She clenched her jade-like hands tightly as a pale, white color surfaced. Mahamayuri is returning to his ancestral state? That's not right. Her bloodline isn't pure. Could it be this group of stupid birds that recklessly wasted God's gift? They actually forcefully extracted the little girl's bloodline and gave it to this peacock with a lowly bloodline. No wonder the little girl's bloodline is so weak. Master Ox mocked in a muffled voice. His expression was filled with disdain as he looked at the old woman as if she was an idiot. Hearing Grandpa Nyo's words, Wang Kai's brows furrowed tightly. He narrowed his eyes and sneered. Forcefully extracting other people's blood to nurture your offspring. Don't you feel ashamed? Whoosh. When he said that, the old woman's face turned cold. The beautiful woman next to her looked even colder. Bastard, you're just an ignorant human being. Don't talk nonsense, said the old woman angrily. Wang Kai's face turned cold. He smiled coldly and said, Nyoja Tian, stop this old woman. Bin Xiao wants her to fall into the abyss. Slap, slap. Although I am not afraid of her attacks, I don't want to be beaten up for nothing. Nyoja Tian snorted. No problem. Deal. So close yet so far. Whoosh. Wang Kai's body flashed, and he moved towards the beautiful woman next to the old woman. How dare you? Shouted the old woman angrily. She raised her hand and was about to attack Wang Kai when Nyoja Tian appeared in front of her. The old woman was not sure about Nyoja Tian's strength. When she saw that, her face changed, and she quickly dodged to the side. Freeze! At this moment, Wang Kai held the god-killing brush in his hand and came to the side of the beautiful woman. He drew the word fix in front of her and froze her in midair. So, I have to stay up all night to write and upload tomorrow's chapter. That's all for today. It's not that I don't want to update, it's that I really can't. I really don't like to have a power outage. If that happens, it means that I have to be more tired. Alright, I won't say too much. Once again, thank you all for your support. Wang Haiyan. Chapter 233. Big Black Yak, you're so powerful. Even Wang Kai is afraid of you. Kong Ro's eyes lit up as she praised with a smile. As she smiled, two small canine teeth were revealed, making her look quite lovable. Such a scene caused Wang Kai to be startled. He couldn't help but think of the little princess of the demon continent, Ren Huan Huan. She also had a pair of canine teeth, and her personality was similar to Kong Ro's. Now, she had been imprisoned in the Tong Tian Tower, and there was even the dustless fire suppressing her. After such a long time, she should be fine, right? The more Wang Kai thought about it, the more fearful he became. If something really happened to Ren Huan Huan and the Demon Emperor came personally in the future, wouldn't he be finished? Immediately, Wang Kai hurriedly urged his mind to enter the Tong Tian Tower to check. Big stupid cat, is Ren Huan Huan okay? Wang Kai was a little nervous at this moment. For a moment, he didn't dare to directly urge his mind to enter the first floor to check. Hearing this, Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers and laughed gloatingly. She's not dead, but her mind seems to be stupid. Stupid? F***CK. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth suddenly twitched violently. He hurriedly urged his mind to enter the first floor. He saw Ren Huan Huan hugging her knees and curling up on the ground. She was looking up with a stiff expression, staring blankly at the dustless fire above her head. She looked no different from a person in a vegetative state. Whoosh! Seeing this scene, Wang Kai's heart violently jumped. After secretly apologizing for his sins, he hurriedly withdrew the dustless fire. Ren Huan Huan, the little princess of the demon race. Hey, are you okay? Can you say something? Bin Xiao is going to take off your clothes? Hey, Bin Xiao is really going to take it off. However, no matter how Wang Kai called out, Ren Huan Huan still had a dull expression and didn't say a word. She didn't even frown, and her eyes didn't have the slightest change. Ben Shao is willing to refine pills for you for free. In the future, he won't use the dustless fire to suppress you. Really? You're not allowed to lie, or you'll go to hell. Before Wang Kai could finish speaking, he saw Ren Huanhuan's big eyes widen as she cheered with joy on her pretty face. She looked like a victorious little swan. You can continue to squat inside. Wang Kai's face darkened, and his forehead was full of black lines. He snorted coldly, and then directly withdrew his mind. Wah! Damned Wang Kai, bastard Wang Kai, this princess will definitely not let you off, wah! Ren Huanhuan's extremely aggrieved cries reverberated throughout the first level of the Tong Tian Tower. What the hell? In the end, it was all an act. Wang Kai rolled his eyes speechlessly. When he looked at Kong Ro, he saw that she was already sitting on Niu Zhetian's back. Niu Zhetian looked very happy. Little Wang, in the future, Ro will be Master Niu's direct disciple. You must not have any ideas about her, and you must not bully her, otherwise, Master Niu will definitely not let you off. Niu Zhetian said proudly. When Wang Kai heard this, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. He secretly thought that they were progressing very quickly. They had already become master and disciple so quickly. At this moment, Kong Ro's eyes were slightly narrowed as she looked at Wang Kai with a teasing expression. She even pursed her little mouth and used her jade-like finger to gently tap it. Following which, she raised her hand and slapped towards Wang Kai. Wang Kai was speechless when he saw this. He stared at her angrily and sneered. Little girl, wait until Ben Shao deceives Master Niu's recipe. Let's see if Ben Shao won't teach you a lesson. Little Wang, Ro's blood is very weak right now. If she continues like this, she won't be able to become a beast. Master Niu will give you a recipe. You must quickly refine it. Master Niu pretended to be an enigmatic cultivator. Wang Kai's brows immediately raised when he heard this. He pretended to have no problem and nodded in agreement. He secretly sent a voice transmission and ridiculed. Old ox, quickly give this young master 10 kinds of ancient pill formulas. If one is missing, this young master will immediately dismember you in front of Kong Ro. Shua! As soon as he heard this, Niu Zhetian's body trembled. He stared at Wang Kai with his dark eyes and replied, Little Wang, since Master Niu has promised you, of course I won't go back on my word. However, you must refine the pill to cure Ro first. If the bloodline rent-back phenomenon is not cured in time, the consequences will be unimaginable. Then, Niu Zhetian transmitted an ancient recipe into Wang Kai's mind. Bodhi blood pill? There's only one material to refine it. It's blood Bodhi. Wang Kai was stunned. He could not help but take out the blood Bodhi from his space ring. This was the blood Bodhi that he had robbed from monk Ji Kong of the blissful Buddhist temple. Yes, you do need the blood Bodhi, but it is extremely difficult to find. However, as the Emperor of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, you shouldn't need it. You actually have the blood Bodhi. Niu Zhetian was shaking his head when he suddenly realized that Wang Kai was holding the blood Bodhi in his hand. Wasn't that the blood Bodhi he needed to concoct pills? Is that the blood Bodhi, one of the most precious Buddhist treasures of the blissful Buddhist temple? Kong Ro blinked her beautiful eyes and opened her red lips in surprise. The name of the blood Bodhi was known to all cultivators in the 6 prefectures and 1 island. It was a Buddhist treasure unique to the blissful Buddhist temple, one of the 2 great pure lands in the Buddha region. It was rare to even see it, but now it had appeared in Wang Kai's hands. Kong Ro felt that Wang Kai was just too mysterious. He was just a cultivator from the Fan province. Not only did he become the emperor of the Treasure Trove Pavilion, his strength had also increased so quickly. He had even killed a young paragon and become famous in 6 provinces and 1 island. At first, she had thought that they just had the same name, but now that Wang Kai had appeared in the Tiani mountain range, she knew that Wang Kai was the one she knew. It's just a mere blood Bodhi. It's just an ordinary plant that grows alongside the weeds in this young master's backyard. Why are you so surprised? Wang Kai said with an indifferent smile. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 4th level of the Holy King realm. Neojatian was drooling. He secretly thought that in the future, he would definitely ask where Wang Kai's hometown was. Whether it was the 9-Dragon Cauldron, the Death God Brush, or the Blood Bodhi, Neojatian couldn't help but believe that Wang Kai's hometown was extremely mysterious. Kong Ro pouted. Maybe Neojatian didn't know that Wang Kai was from the Fan Continent, but she knew very well that in such a barren place, how could there be a Blood Bodhi? Little Ro, come and give Ben Shao a kiss. Then Ben Shao will concoct pills for you. Haha, I don't want to boast, but Ben Shao's alchemy skills are amazing. Even the alchemists of the Sun Moon Island would fight to see me concoct pills. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. I'm still writing. I stayed up late today, and the power went out at 5 in the morning. At that time, I had to go to bed as well. When the power comes back at 8 in the evening, I will continue to write and update. As for how much I can write during this period of time, I will write as much as I can to ensure the quality. Chapter 234. Kong Ro's pretty face blushed slightly. She lowered her head and pinched the corner of her clothes. She walked over shyly, pursed her lips, and said softly, "You can only kiss me. You can't do anything else." "Pa!" Neojatian snorted when he saw that. He quickly moved to the middle of the cauldron and looked down at Wang Kai. He snorted and said, "Wang Kai, don't go too far. Hee. Master Nyo won't allow it. I can't do anything about it." Kong Ro smiled. Her beautiful eyes twinkled with a cunning light. Wang Kai knew what she was thinking. However, he didn't care. Now that Neojatian was protecting him, he had to be patient for the sake of the ancient elixir recipe. Bang! Wang Kai took out the 9-Dragon Cauldron. He flicked his finger, and a pale flame appeared at the tip of his finger. God, is this one of the 9 mystical fires? A pale flame. Could be the first ranked dustless flame? Kong Ro's beautiful eyes widened as she cried out in surprise. Neojatian rolled his eyes when he saw that. He thought that Wang Kai was going to brag. Sure enough, Wang Kai shrugged casually, cleared his throat, and said with a faint smile, "It's just a dustless fire. Usually, this young master uses it to warm up the fire. It's not worth mentioning." Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Then, under Kong Ro's beautiful eyes, Wang Kai flicked the dustless flame into the 9-Dragon Cauldron with his finger. Swoosh! The blood bodhi was also thrown into the cauldron. When a 9-dragon mouse on the cauldron spat out pale flames and pure spiritual origin chi, a dazzling pale light appeared. Buzz! When the light disappeared, a blood-red pill the size of a thumb could be seen floating above the 9-Dragon Cauldron. It gave off a bloody smell, but smelled very good. Bodhi Blood Transformation Pill, Saint Level Heaven Grade. Sigh, Ben Shao is truly a peerless genius. Letting Ben Shao do something as trivial as alchemy is really a waste of his talent. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Papa! Whoosh! Neojatian snorted disdainfully and blew the pill at Kong Ro. Ro, hurry up and take this pill. Then you'll be able to break through to the half-step Great Emperor layer, said Neojatian. Kong Ro's pretty face was quite excited, but she still shyly glanced at Wang Kai. Seeing him nod, she happily put the pill in her mouth. Wang! A blood-red chi filled Kong Ro's body. The Bodhi Blood Transformation pill melted in her mouth and turned into a boundless amount of blood chi, nourishing Kong Ro's weak blood. An eggshell-like blood-red light barrier appeared, sealing Kong Ro's entire body within. Little Wang, put her in your Tower of Babel for the time being. The cat inside, listen up. Take good care of Ro. If you disrespect her, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life, said Neojatian threateningly. Inside the Tower of Babel, Lord Cat didn't care at first, but when he heard Neojatian's threat, his hair stood on end. He stroked his beard and sneered disdainfully. "You're just a stupid cow. How dare you talk nonsense to me? Even if your defense is strong, it's useless against my illusion techniques." "Papa," Neojatian snorted and said aggressively. "How dare you, Cat? Come out. I want to fight you for 300 rounds. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Come in if you have the guts," said Lord Cat disdainfully. "Come out. Come in. You." Wang Kai was speechless when he heard this. He immediately waved his hand and said impatiently, Okay, you are all masters of the demon beasts. Don't make any more noise." "Oof. I'll let you go this time." "Bah, you're lucky that I'm not going to argue with you." Lord Cat and Neojatian looked at each other with disdain. They both spat on the ground and stopped arguing. However, Wang Kai was quite curious. He didn't know whether Lord Cat could defeat Neojatian or not. Neojatian was such a strong monster. Why didn't he dare to enter the Tower of Babel? Was there something special about the Tower of Babel? With a flip of his hand, Wang Kai sent Kong Ro into the heavenly tower. Wang Kai shrugged and asked curiously with a smile, "Old cow, are you very afraid of the heavenly tower?" Neojatian's big black eyes widened. He muttered, "Why would I be afraid of a useless tower? Isn't that the funniest joke in the world?" "Not afraid? Then why don't Ben Shao send you in there?" said Wang Kai with a smile. "Shua." Neojatian shivered and said solemnly, "Little boy Wang, don't joke around like that. If I go to the Tower of Babel, I'm afraid I'll fail to break through the Tao. I'll also fail to break through the first 8 times. You don't need to ask me anything. I can't tell you anything about the Tower of Babel. If you're lucky, you'll know." There was something special about the Tower of Babel. However, Neojatian didn't want to talk about it, and Lord Cat didn't want to either. Wang Kai was very curious, but he couldn't do anything about it. "Do you know which monster's territory this place belongs to?" asked Wang Kai, shrugging. He looked around at the mountains. After the Tian-E mountain range of the Peacock clan, which of the 5 strongest clans was next? Neojatian raised his head and looked around. His pitch-black eyes suddenly stopped at a mountain peak. It looked like a fish in a rock. It looked majestic. Neojatian said, "This place is called the Northern Sea Forest. It's the land of the Kuan Pong. It's also the home of the Kuan Pong. That mountain is where the Kuan Pong lives. Not far from there is the Northern Sea, which is connected to the star Luo Sea. The Northern Sea Forest, the Northern Sea, connected to the star Luo Sea. The home of the Kuan Pong?" Wang Kai frowned. He hadn't thought he would be in the territory of the Kuan Pong clan. He knew a lot about the Kuan Pong clan, but he didn't know how it felt to fight. Haha, now that I already have a maid, let's find another Kuan Pong to accompany me as a guard. With this young master's extraordinary appearance, I believe that even the leader of the Kuan Pong clan will take the initiative to submit to me." Wang Kai's expression was rather proud as he laughed. "Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Neojatian shook his head and said disdainfully, "Even though I don't care about the Kuan Pong clan, I still advise you to be careful. The Kuan Pong clan is not weak." Chapter 235. You are also a Spirit Path Talisman cultivator. Kuan Feng, who was in the distance, was horrified. He had naturally heard of Wang Kai from the Endless Treasures Pavilion, and his name had been spreading like wildfire recently. However, there was no mention of him being a talisman cultivator in all the rumors. However, Wang Kai, who was supposed to be a martial cultivator, was now displaying the abilities of a Spirit Path Talisman cultivator. There were people who cultivated both Spirit Path and Martial Path, but those who could go higher were absolutely rare. "Wang Kai, do you dare to let me go? Let me transform into my monster form and fight with you?" Kuan Shui snorted coldly with a frosty face. As the princess of the Kuan Pong clan, she had reached the level of a saint. Even so, she could not do anything to Wang Kai. Even if he was a Spirit Path Talisman cultivator, he had to have a strength that was not inferior to the other parties in order to easily control the other party. Since the Saint Realm could not do anything to Wang Kai, she could only transform into her original form to have the qualification to fight with him. As soon as her voice fell, before Wang Kai could respond, Kuan Feng, who was in the distance, was stunned. He immediately laughed out loud and said, "Thank you for your reminder, Sister Shui. I will kill this boy later." Whoosh! Caw! A resounding eagle's cry broke through the clouds and reverberated through the forest. Kuan Feng's figure had also transformed into a Kuan Peng that looked like a fish and an eagle. His wings were spread out and covered the sky. His entire body was covered with silver fish scales. His eagle eyes were like knives, his beak was like a hook, and his body was as big as a mountain. His two wings had no silver scales, but were grayish-white wings. Haha, both of you are only second-grade Saint Realm. Even if you transform into your original form, how strong can you be? Not to boast, but even if you're a Kuan Peng of the Emperor Realm and the Saint Realm, you're not a match for Ben Xiao. Wang Kai smiled indifferently, but his eyes were curiously looking at the Kuan Peng monster body. He had seen the original golden-winged rock, but it was his first time seeing a Kuan Peng. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th grade Saint King realm. The moment these words were spoken, Kuan Shui and Kuan Feng, who had turned into a Kuan Peng, became furious. As a member of the Kuan Peng clan, they suppressed tens of thousands of demons in the demon continent, yet they were being looked down upon by a human. Ignorant and foolish human, allowing me to transform into my true form will be your greatest mistake. Die. Whoosh! The Kuan Peng flapped its wings and arrived above Wang Kai's head in an instant. Its eagle claws, which could crush mountains, directly grabbed at Wang Kai's head. Scram! Wang! Suddenly, Wang Kai flipped his hand and drew with the god execution brush, and the word scram was shockingly drawn out, causing the rock's body to stiffen and its movements to suddenly stop. Then, under Kuan Shui's incredulous gaze, Kuan Feng's demonic body actually rolled backward and crawled into the distance like a shooting star. Rumble, rumble. Wherever it passed, the mountains were smashed into pieces, and the clouds were also broken and deformed. The huge wings created deep trenches on the ground, and the originally dense forest had now turned into a plain. Not bad, transforming into the Kuan Peng's true form. Even if you're only a second-grade saint, a peak saint would not be able to capture you. However, you're still too weak. Wang Kai's expression was rather calm as he smiled. He flipped his palm and pressed it on Kuan Shui's shoulder. Whoosh! Kuan Shui's body instantly disappeared, as she had been kept by Wang Kai into the sky-reaching tower. The crown prince of the trove of treasures building, the ethereal voice sounded again, mixed with anger, but did not directly attack Wang Kai. Hearing this call, Wang Kai waved his hand unhappily and interrupted. He smiled faintly and said, "No one can interfere in the fight between the younger generation. Ben Xiao has achieved his purpose of coming here. Goodbye." Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai turned over and sat on Niu Zhetian's back. When he was about to raise his pen, he saw Niu Zhetian's face suddenly turn green. He moved his four hooves and shouted in a muffled voice, "Boy, I can run." After Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian left, numerous figures appeared in the sky above the Kuan Peng mountain. Among them, there were many people of the older generation and the younger generation. Their auras were vigorous, and their faces were pale, but they could only grit their teeth and endure. "Ancestor, why did you let him take away the princess and leave safely?" A young expert could not help but grit his teeth and ask. Many people's eyes were full of shame and anger as they looked at the huge cave at the top of the mountain. Countless people can kill the crown prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion. Why is he still alive? The ethereal voice sounded again in the cave, and many experts of the Kuan Peng clan were stunned. They had heard about Wang Kai's deeds for a long time. He had killed the lineal descendants of the 4 great families of the Wu province, killed the disciple of the sword saint of Qing Feng, and auctioned the sweet sound of the joyful Buddha temple. Even though he had committed such a heinous crime, he had not been injured at all. Was Wang Kai really invincible in the world? Absolutely not. Damn the princess of the Fanzhou, shut up. If you are so indignant, quickly go back and cultivate. Let's see how many people of the younger generation can kill him. A stern voice came from the cave, and many experts of the Kuan Peng clan's faces stiffened. They flew back to the Kuan Peng mountain, full of humiliation. At the same time, Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian had already stepped out of the territory of the Kuan Peng clan. Boy, I have a new level of respect for your shamelessness. Niu Zhetian snorted and said disdainfully. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He naturally knew what he was talking about. Being able to leave the North Sea forest unscathed was naturally all because of the treasure trove pavilion. To be exact, it was because of the Empress of the Fan Prefecture. However, Wang Kai himself did not feel that there was anything wrong with using a chicken feather as a token of authority and using a tiger's might to intimidate others. If he did not use it when he had the power to do so, when the power disappeared in the future, would it be too late to use it? In Wang Kai's opinion, when he could act tough, he had to act tough, and he had to be even more awesome than before. That was the only way to live up to his identity. Haha, the Benshao clan is indeed very powerful. They are so powerful that even the heavens are afraid of them. The pantheon of demons is nothing to them, Wang Kai said with a calm smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Niu Zhetian's dark eyes rolled around. He did not think that Wang Kai was bragging. Up until now, he had observed that Wang Kai's family was not weak. When my disciple wakes up, I will ask him where the Wang Kai clan is. Niu Zhetian thought to himself. Wang Kai sat on Niu Zhetian's back and looked at the golden forest in front of them. There were many golden-winged rocks hovering in the sky. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and smile. That should be the golden-winged rocks territory, right? Bang, bang. Niu Zhetian snorted and moved his forehoofs. He was extremely fast and was extremely excited. He shouted, "Boy, since they don't dare to send strong cultivators to deal with you, why don't you make a big fuss? Ha ha, it's a pity that the golden-winged rocks and the peacock have treasures." Chapter 236. Wang Kai raised his brow when he heard this. He couldn't help narrowing his eyes slightly and said with a playful smile, "Then why don't we go back and rob? As the saying goes, a good cow doesn't eat pasture. Let bygones be bygones." Niu Zhetian shook his head and said. Wang Kai nodded his head in agreement and smiled indifferently. "That's right. I possess countless treasures. The treasures of the Kunping clan and the Peacock clan are nothing more than a pile of rotten grass in my eyes. There's no need to care about them. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Niu Zhetian didn't pout and said, "Little Wang, you are really good. You have the same demeanor as I did in the past." A man and a cow swiftly dashed through the sky, praising each other without saying a word. However, both of them were extremely clear in their hearts that if they were to turn back, it would be unknown whether they would be able to come out alive. First, he extracted the bloodline of the Peacock race's princess. Then, he sent the Kuan Peng race's prince flying and even abducted his princess. It was already a great blessing that he was able to restrain himself from attacking out of anger after such a shameful thing. If they went back and robbed the treasures of the two clans, it would be like stepping on someone's nose. Even if the two clans sent experts to deal with Wang Kai, the Empress of the Fanzhou Empire wouldn't be able to do anything. From the beginning, Wang Kai didn't care at all. Right now, we already have a maid and a guard. The Divine Dragon clan pulling the carriage has yet to arrive, and the accompanying Phoenix clan is also behind. We should first find a coachman. Wang Kai shrugged, narrowed his eyes, and laughed softly. Golden Feather Mountain Range. It was a golden mountain forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. The trees within it emitted a dazzling golden light. The leaves were even more dazzling, and their shapes resembled golden feathers. Whether it was the mountains, rivers, trees, or leaves, they all looked like golden feathers. Even the clouds in the sky were illuminated by the golden light. I didn't expect there to be such a wondrous sight in the Demon Plain. It's much more beautiful than the heavenly Een mountain range and the northern sea forest, Wang Kai praised with a smile. Papa, Neoja Tian snorted and said, "Little boy, don't underestimate those golden feathers. The golden-winged great rocks have many precious treasures, but the most famous one is the golden feather ancestral tree in the Golden Feather Mountain. You can't underestimate them. Consuming one of the golden feather fruits on the tree could extend one's lifespan by 100 years. It can even stimulate a cultivator's potential. Golden feather ancestral tree, swallowing one could extend one's lifespan by 100 years? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He had heard of many treasures that could prolong one's life, but it was the first time he had heard of something that could prolong one's life by 100 years. Is there really such a miraculous tree in this world? If that's the case, why don't we uproot a few of the golden feather trees in a mountain range and plant them back? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. If it could really extend his life by 100 years, how could he let it go? Papa, Neoja Tian snorted and said disdainfully, "Why would we need those trees? The golden feather ancestral tree is the only thing that made the golden feather mountains look like this." What do you mean? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Shua. At that moment, Neoja Tian stopped at the edge of the golden feather mountains. He floated down and looked at the golden-winged great rocks flying in the sky. Then he carefully hid. The golden feather ancestral tree was not planted, nor was it formed by nature. It was formed by a powerful ancestor of the golden-winged great rocks. He used his cultivation to turn the golden feather mountains into a powerful tree. After a long time, the golden feather mountains turned into a land of gold. The golden-winged great rocks cultivate there, and their cultivation progress is much faster. Neoja Tian said. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. Was this the so-called the ancestors planted the tree, and the descendants enjoyed the shade? He didn't expect the ancestor of the golden-winged great rocks to be so bold. If Ben Shao uprooted the golden feather ancestral tree, the ancestor of the golden-winged great rocks would come back to life. As for the current golden-winged great Peng clan, they would probably die of anger on the spot, right? Wang Kai rubbed his nose and said with a playful smile. Neoja Tian's eyes widened. He snorted and said, "When you do bad things, you look just like me." Ha! Pa! Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this. He immediately turned his hand and slapped him on the head. He snorted disdainfully. This young master's power is monstrous. No one has ever been a match for me, and no one can compare to me now. You're just a cow with thick skin and thick flesh. How dare you say that this young master has the same demeanor as you in the past? Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Who said my real body is an ox? When my seal is broken, I will show my real body. You will be so scared that you will kneel and beg for mercy. Neoja Tian said proudly. His surname was Neo, his name was Jetian, and his real body was an ox. His real body was outside of the three worlds. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked playfully at Neo Jetian. He shrugged and smiled. How are we going to get the golden feather ancestral tree? In this young master's opinion, it's better to just pay a visit directly. Pa! Neo Jetian snorted and shook his head disdainfully. Visit them and steal the golden feather ancestral tree? Even if you act in secret, you can only take some gold feather fruits. If you really do that, even if you're the emperor of the Gathering Treasures Pavilion, no matter how powerful the clan behind you is, you will definitely incur the wrath of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Haha, this young master was just joking. In fact, a mere golden feather ancestral tree and golden feather fruits are nothing in this young master's eyes. Now that I brought them here, it's all because my throat is dry and I need to moisten it. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Neotian snorted disdainfully and said, "Little boy, I will go to the great golden-winged Pung clan and challenge them. You can use your beast transformation technique to sneak into the great golden-winged Pung clan's territory. Wait for me to lure out the Saint Emperors guarding the golden feather ancestral tree." "Why are you looking at me like that?" Neotian's eyes were wide open as he looked at Wang Kai's face. He was puzzled. Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose when he heard this. He asked with a surprised expression, "Old bull, when did you have such a mind and spirit? You dare to challenge them alone?" Even if Neotian's defense wasn't afraid of Saint Emperors, he didn't want to be beaten up. If that was the case, why was he working so hard? Could it be that there was some other way? For a moment, Wang Kai was very suspicious in his heart. A person who was originally very cunning suddenly became so generous. Anyone would be suspicious, wouldn't they? Someone asked me how many chapters one should update today, and I gave him 10,000 as a reward. Thanks to everyone's rewards and subscriptions, I can't write less than 10,000 words every day. Chapter 237. Slap. Neotian snorted and said proudly, "Master Neo has always been brave, okay? I just don't want to show it." Ben Xiao, I didn't know you were good at bragging." Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him in surprise. However, Neotian didn't refute him. He said solemnly, "Little boy, my disciple's blood was stolen. Even though he has been healed by the Bodhi blood pill, his potential hasn't been stimulated yet. For young beasts, it's not necessary to increase their lifespan, but the golden feather fruit can stimulate their potential." So he is doing this for Kong Ro? He didn't see that Neotian cared so much about his disciples. Was Mahamayuri's ancestral awakening phenomenon really that powerful? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and nodded. He looked at the protruding golden feather mountain in the distance and said with a faint smile, "If that's the case, this young master will take the risk and enter Golden Feather Mountain. There are not many people in the world who are as righteous as Ben Xiao." Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Go to the Golden Feather Mountain. Neotian looked at him with disdain. He was the one who was in danger. Although his life wasn't in danger, he was doomed to be beaten up. Neotian had seen Wang Kai's demonic transformation technique on the Oxhead Mountain. His demonic transformation technique was extraordinary. Even great emperors among saints couldn't see through it. Of course, the premise was that Wang Kai didn't use human martial skills. After all, monsters couldn't practice human martial skills. "Little Wang, don't be greedy. If there are 1,000 golden feather fruits on the golden feather tree, you can only take 20. If there are 100, you can only take 10. If you take more than 10, there will be a great disaster." Neotian reminded him seriously. Wang Kai raised his brow and asked with a puzzled expression, "Why is that so? What if there are only 10? 10, then you can only take one. Otherwise, the golden feather tree will wither. Like the sun fruit, it only bears one fruit every 1,000 years. Only after 10,000 years can you pick the most mature one. If you let the golden feather tree wither too early, no matter who is supporting you, the golden-winged great rocks will chase you to the ends of the earth." Neotian warned. Monster transformation technique, golden rock. Buzz. Wang Kai's body was surrounded by golden light. When the light disappeared, he turned into a golden rock. Haha, everyone says that the golden-winged great Pung can devour dragons, but they're just mistaking snakes for dragons. If I turn into a dragon, I can definitely break the golden-winged great Peng's wings and kill it. Wang Kai shrugged and snorted disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Bam! Neotian snorted and said, "Your chi, your appearance, and your bones are the same as the great oriental greenfinch rocks. Master Neo can go all out and fight you now." Swoosh! Neotian turned into a beam of light and flew towards the Golden Feather Mountain range. Wang Kai's eyes flickered when he saw this. He flapped his golden wings and flew into the golden feather mountain range. Neoja Tian was flying in the sky, while Wang Kai was flying through the forest. Bam! How dare a chicken call itself the Golden Rock Clan? Come out and let your grandpa Neo kick you, said Neoja Tian mockingly. Neoja Tian bowed and raised his head. His black eyes were wide open, and his tongue was sticking out of his mouth. How dare you? How dare you come to the Golden Feather Mountain Range? Swoosh! In a flash, a loud voice spread through the forest. The golden-winged great rock swooped down from the sky, flapping its golden wings and opening its mouth to bite Neoja Tian. How dare a chicken talk to your grandpa Neo like that? Bam! 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 Neoja Tian jumped up into the air and tried to attack the great oriental greenfinch rock. However, the result was obvious. Neoja Tian's body was blown away. He tumbled a few hundred times before crashing to the ground. A deep crater appeared on the ground. Bam! Neoja Tian snorted a few times and stood up. He looked at the Golden Feather Mountain Range and said, Little Wang, you better hurry up. If I get beaten up for too long, I won't let you go. At the same time, Wang Kai transformed into the golden-winged rock and entered the Golden Feather Mountain Range. He flew quickly and soon arrived at the foot of the mountain. Which clan are you from? Why aren't you wearing clothes? Didn't your patriarch teach you to know shame? At the foot of the mountain, there was a mountain gate made of large stones. On both sides of the entrance, there were two golden-winged great rocks standing guard. Seeing Wang Kai approach, the two guards immediately berated him with cold eyes. Demonic beasts could actually talk about shame and etiquette. Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. He blinked his eyes and could not help but lower his head to look at his attire. His entire body was covered by golden feathers. There should be nothing wrong with it. However, when he looked at the two guards again, Wang Kai came to a realization. Although they were in the form of the golden-winged great rocks, they were standing like humans. They had 5 fingers like humans, but the black nails on their fingers were extremely long. Their palms were also covered with feathers, and they wore golden armor. There was also a red sphere on his head. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai could not help but flap his golden feathers and touch his head. After feeling the same as them, he secretly sighed in relief. Why'd I have to wear clothes? Aren't golden feathers the most powerful and extraordinary clothes in the world? Since my clan is born with golden feathers, why do I have to learn from humans and cover my body with cloth? Aren't you insulting my proud, golden-winged great rocks by wearing armor? Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. These words immediately stunned the two great rocks. They turned around and looked at each other. They felt that Wang Kai's words were very reasonable. You are right. However, after leaving the cave, you still have to cover yourself. My golden-winged great rocks are noble and arrogant. Naturally, we cannot forget our etiquette. If the beauties of my golden-winged great rocks see you entering the golden-winged great rocks like this, wouldn't you be a joke? The great rock's tone was clearly much lower. They were extremely satisfied with Wang Kai's words of praise. Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. He flapped his wings and said indifferently, Golden-winged 3 changes. Buzz. 2 arms grew out, and his body turned into a human. His head was still the head of a rock, and all 4 limbs were complete. Golden wings grew out from his back. However, although his body was covered by the golden feathers, some important parts were still exposed. You see, we just reminded you that our current form is half human and half rock. We still have to wear some clothes. The 2 guards said with a smile in their eyes. Wang Kai lowered his head, and black lines appeared on his forehead. He also felt that this appearance was extremely inappropriate. He nodded and said with a smile, The 2 of you are right. This rock is so handsome and extraordinary. How can I casually let others see me? Yes, I should cover myself. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Cough, cough. Everyone, vote for the monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you very much. Chapter 238. outstanding and elegant, extraordinarily handsome, and he couldn't let anyone look at him? The two great Pung guards burst into laughter when they heard this. They raised their arms full of golden feathers and pointed at Wang Kai, laughing nonstop. Since you're so confident, why don't you transform into a human and let us see what you look like? The rock guard mocked. Whoosh! Golden feathers, triple transformation. Wang Kai didn't respond when he heard this. He immediately turned his hand and drew a line on his body. As rays of golden light appeared and dissipated, a golden armor with golden boots, golden pants, and a golden belt appeared. Although he had the face of a rock and the head of a rock, he looked mighty. I still have important matters to attend to, so I won't boast here with you. Move aside. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Transform into a human? Wouldn't that expose his identity? Wang Kai was a human through and through. He had never experienced the transformation of a demon. Once he undid the demon transformation technique and transformed back into a human, his aura and bones could no longer be hidden. Important matters? Don't you just want to attend Princess Ruoyan's poetry recital? The rock guard on the left snorted disdainfully, but his eyes flashed with jealousy. The rock guard on the right was the same. If he didn't have to guard the mountain gate, he would have already attended the poetry recital. If he could gain the favor of the princess, would he still need to guard the gate in the future? Poetry recital? Princess Ruoyan? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He was quite curious, but on the surface, he smiled indifferently and said, "That's right. With my talent, let alone taking first place in this competition, even Princess Ruoyan would fall head over heels in love with me." Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. However, these words were met with disdain from the two rock guards. They secretly thought that Princess Ruoyan had held hundreds of poetry recitals, if not 1,000. Not a single one of them had been able to gain her favor. Many of the young experts had attended several times only to admire Princess Ruoyan's peerless beauty. If you really have the ability to obtain the Emperor's favor, you will definitely be able to cultivate under the golden feather ancestral tree for 3 days. But can you do it? The great rock guard snorted disdainfully. Cultivating under the golden feather ancestral tree for 3 days? Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. Originally, he didn't intend to participate in this bullshit poetry recital conference. After all, reciting poems was simply too easy for him. At present, proper business was more important. Now that he heard what they said, he would never have thought that he would be able to obtain the favor of the Empress and be able to go to the golden feather ancestral tree. Wang Kai did not mind cultivating for 3 days. He was not the golden-winged great rock, so the golden feather ancestral tree was of no use to him. His true goal was to get close to the golden feather ancestral tree. Now that there was such a good opportunity, wouldn't it save him a lot of trouble? Wang Kai immediately exclaimed loudly in his heart, "The heavens are really helping me. Haha, when I capture the heart of Princess Ruoyan, I will definitely bring it to you two to express my gratitude. Goodbye." Wang Kai smiled indifferently. Then, with his hands behind his back, he confidently ascended the golden feather mountain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. The two rock guards looked at each other in disdain when they saw this. Bragging, braggart. After ascending the golden feather mountain, Wang Kai's footsteps were as if he was flying. Soon, he was halfway up the mountain. Along the way, he saw many cave dwellings, but he did not see a single great rock demonic beast. Where did Princess Ruoyan hold the poetry recital conference? It's not a good idea to keep searching blindly like this. Wang Kai frowned and muttered, "Boy, you are now an expert of the Saint Realm. Don't you know how to use your spiritual power to search?" Inside the heaven-reaching tower, Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and sneered with a disdainful expression. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He secretly thought that the cultivation method he practiced was called the Everlasting Saint Soul Technique. It was just that he did not know its ability at the moment. Thinking about it, One did not need to cultivate hard to break through to the next realm. If it was before the king realm, Wang Kai could rely on his memory to understand some of the cultivation methods of each realm. However, how could Wang Kai know the cultivation methods of those beyond the king realm? Ahem, big stupid cat. Bin Xiao is in a good mood today. Let me test you. How do you use the spiritual power of the Saint Realm? You don't need to ask Bin Xiao. Bin Xiao is very knowledgeable. He won't give you any advice. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th grade Holy King realm. Lord Cat was extremely disdainful when he heard this. He naturally knew that Wang Kai was pretending to know. However, he knew his situation at the moment, so he did not expose him. He stroked his long whiskers and said lightly, "It is the same as using the secret sound transmission. The only difference is that you need to use your spiritual power." Well, your spiritual power. With Lord Cat's detailed explanation, Wang Kai suddenly understood. He immediately frowned slightly and used his spiritual power. It was invisible, but he could perceive everything around him in his mind. He could clearly perceive the movements and expressions of the 2 rock guards at the foot of the mountain at this moment. Even the fluttering of the golden feather leaves further away was very clear. Further away, suddenly, Wang Kai was startled. A very exciting scene appeared in front of his eyes. Far away in the sky, Niuzha Tian was fighting with dozens of golden rocks. However, every time, he would be picked up and thrown down. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was kicked around. However, Niuzha Tian was quite strong. When the golden rocks saw that they could not do anything to him, they tried to imprison him or throw him out of the Golden Feather Mountain range. However, every time they tried, they failed. Whether it was imprison or seal, they could not trap Niuzha Tian. After watching for a long time, Wang Kai couldn't help but recall his spiritual power. He grinned and said, "It seems that he is going to lose his temper again. It would be strange if he was not angry after being beaten for so long. How is it? How far can your spiritual power reach?" The cat stroked his beard and asked curiously. When Wang Kai was an emperor clone, he was already different from ordinary people. He wondered how strong his spiritual power would be in the Saint Realm. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows upon hearing this. He could not help but release his spirit to cover the area from the foot of the mountain to the Golden Feather Mountain range, and finally to the edge of the Golden Feather Mountain range. It was only now that he felt a slight obstruction. It should be tens of thousands of li. To be precise, less than 90,000 li. Wang Kai thought carefully and said, "Less than 90,000 li." Inside the Tower of Babel, the cat's face stiffened. He said in shock, "You can reach 90,000 li? That is a level that only a peak Saint Emperor can reach. You are a freak. I'm still working hard. Thank you all for your support." A fellow Taoist asked me how many chapters one need for 10,000 words. My answer, each chapter is about 2,000 words, so I need more than 5 chapters for 10,000 words. I hope everyone can leave a comment when you have time. Let me see everyone's existence. Hee hee, otherwise I'll be lonely and cold. So blue and thin, so mushroom. Chapter 239. What's a mere 90,000 miles? Just now, this young master only said a little less on purpose. If this young master wanted to, his divine sense would be enough to cover the entire 6 provinces in one island. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled rather indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Cat Lord, who was in the Tower of Babel, chose to ignore this. 90,000 miles was only the territory of a powerful clan in the Demon Continent. He had never heard of a master who could cover 6 states and 1 island. Buzz! Wang Kai frowned slightly as he used his spirit power to cover the entire Golden Feather Mountain. However, the peak of the mountain was the only place he couldn't see. It was likely because of the Golden Feather Ancestral Tree. Could it be here? Suddenly, Wang Kai's brows relaxed. He shook his head in surprise and smiled. I didn't expect that there would be a woman from the demon clan who loved poetry. In the image projected by his spirit, there were tens of thousands of young rocks standing in a circle under a high platform. On the high platform, there was a square wooden table with brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones on it. At the center of the wooden table sat a beautiful woman in a golden dress. She was about 23 or 24 years old, with long golden hair that reached her waist. Her features were picturesque, and her face was like a silver plate. Light flowed in her eyes, and she had an elegant temperament. Although she was sitting at the table, it was difficult to hide her exquisite figure. However, this woman was extremely quiet. Her slender fingers held the golden brush, but she did not touch the paper. Instead, her red lips were slightly smiling and her eyes twinkled as she pondered. In particular, there was a small red between her eyebrows, which set off her unique charm. What a beautiful woman! She could be called a peerless beauty. Wang Kai's eyes were full of admiration. In particular, the woman's quiet temperament and elegant demeanor were like a talented woman. They were extremely lovable. Who is spying? Suddenly, the woman frowned and raised her head with confusion in her eyes. Her eyes, which seemed to contain endless knowledge, met Wang Kai's gaze. However, the woman did not see Wang Kai. She only sensed something. Wang Kai was stunned when he saw this, and he hurriedly withdrew his spirit. He could not help but exclaim, "Good cultivation, at least at the level of a Saint King." Otherwise, he would absolutely not have been able to discover Bencheo's prying. Most of the princes and princesses of the top forces were at the Emperor realm. Those who were extremely talented could step into the Saint realm. However, the Saint realm was the limit of the princes and princesses. However, Princess Run of the golden-winged Great Peng clan was able to sense Wang Kai's probing with his soul. This proved that her cultivation was definitely not weaker than a Saint King. In fact, when Wang Kai repeatedly probed, he had already been discovered by many experts of the golden-winged Great Peng clan. However, because of the demon transformation technique, those experts thought that he was a cultivator of their clan and did not pay attention to him. The strong clans of the demon continent are indeed unfathomable. It seems that the Peacock clan and the Kunping clan must have even stronger young experts who have yet to appear. I really look forward to meeting them. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. With a tap of his feet, he rushed towards Princess Run at the throat of the mountain. Seeking Talent Mansion, Wang Kai came before a door and looked up at the three extremely heroic characters carved on the plaque. He could not help but exclaim in surprise, "Good writing. It is really strange that the demon clan could reach such a level." What made Wang Kai even more curious was that the buildings here were not much different from the mansions and courtyards of the human world. Everywhere he passed, whether it was a lotus pond, a pavilion, or a small courtyard, there were all kinds of things. Moreover, there were calligraphy, paintings, and poems everywhere. Even the air was mixed with the fragrance of brush and ink. It was as if he had entered a private school. Princess Ruoyan, just how much do you love reciting poems? Wang Kai could not help but shake his head and laugh. He realized that he had underestimated Princess Ruoyan's talent. Reciting stage. Wang Kai walked over with his hands behind his back. Although his spirit had already probed the situation here, at such a close distance, the dense mass of great pung heads and golden wings made the corner of his mouth twitch violently. Princess Ruin, Peng Zhan is not talented, but he was inspired to compose a poem. I hope Princess can give me some pointers. Suddenly, a man about 30 years old stepped onto the stage and came before the wooden table. He respectfully cupped his fists and bowed slightly. His actions and actions were all in accordance with the rules of human warriors. Oh, then let's hear it. Princess Ruoyan's eyes flashed. She lifted the jade pendant slightly. Her voice was very soft, but very pleasing to the ear. Her quiet and elegant appearance caused the tens of thousands of great Peng demon rocks to fall silent. There was no noise. Peng Zhan nodded slightly. He, who was originally elegant and dashing, suddenly rolled up his sleeves and waved his hands and shook his head. He recited heroically, "What a great mountain of gold! What a shining tree of gold! What a rushing river of gold! What a—" "All right, you recited well. You may leave." Before Peng Zhan could finish, Princess Ruoyan frowned and waved her hand to interrupt him, indicating that he should leave the stage. This situation caused Peng Zhan's face to stiffen, especially when he saw the mocking faces of his fellow great Peng Zhan below. He was so ashamed that he wanted to crawl into a hole and hide his face. He jumped off the stage like a girl. Although Peng Zhan had made a fool of himself, the great Peng demon rocks only looked at him with mocking eyes. They did not laugh out loud, causing the scene to remain silent. "Ha ha ha! Good poem! What a good poem!" However, Wang Kai couldn't help but give him a thumbs up on the spot and praise him with a face full of smiles. Whoosh! Such a voice immediately attracted the attention of the great Peng demon rocks. Then, they all looked over with gloating eyes, as if they were more interested in Peng Zhan's misfortune than Peng Zhan's. "Which clan do you belong to? Don't you know that once you enter the House of Talent Seeking, you have no talent?" On the high platform, Princess Ruoyan frowned and looked at Wang Kai with displeasure. "Even when you're angry, you're still so mesmerizing. Princess Ruoyan is really a natural talent." Wang Kai shook his head and praised. Her angry appearance clearly made her look like she was acting coquettishly. There was no lethality at all. However, when the great Peng demon rocks heard this, their faces all changed. "It's over. This brother definitely won't be able to walk out of the House of Talent Seeking today." The great Peng demon rocks secretly sighed. "Haha, since you've broken the rules, come up on the stage and compose a poem. If you can't satisfy me, you'll break your wings and be imprisoned here for 10 years. Princess Ruoyan said indifferently. Her voice was still so soft, and her words were extremely vicious. However, Wang Kai did not feel afraid at all. This girl's temperament was really too harmless. "I'm going to sleep for an hour and meditate for a while. I'll continue writing at 3 o'clock. There's one more thing I need to inform you. Many friends are asking if there are more after the Saint Emperor realm. Hey, yes, there are many. Chapter 240. Haha, it's just reciting poetry. In this Peng's opinion, it's too easy. Not to mention one poem. Even if it's 100, 1,000, 10,000 poems, I can still recite them." Wang Kai smiled indifferently. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points, 10 bragging points." Princess Ruoyan frowned even harder. It was one thing to say that a person had no talent, but if he had no talent and still boasted like this, wouldn't that be a disgrace? "If you cannot recite a poem that satisfies me, then cut off your own wings, cut off your own tongue, and imprison you in the House of Mikai for 100 years. Princess Ruoyan said. Wang Kai shrugged indifferently when he heard this. He immediately put his hands behind his back and walked towards the high platform with a rather leisurely expression. Wherever he passed, the monsters naturally retreated. "Who asked you to be so pretentious? Keep on being pretentious. I will teach you a lesson soon." Many rocks sneered, hoping that Wang Kai would get on the stage as soon as possible. I wonder if the princess is listening. Wang Kai stood on the stage with one hand behind his back and the other in front of his chest. His posture was supposed to be elegant, but because of his rock face, he looked very comical. "What do you mean by that?" Princess Ruoyan's eyes flickered. Looking at Wang Kai's posture, she suddenly felt that he was indeed talented. Many of the great rocks were bewildered as well, wondering what Wang Kai was trying to do. Hearing this, Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. He looked at her with a look of pity and said with a faint smile, "Of course I want you to listen. This Peng is rich in knowledge and dares to compete with the heavens. Every line of my poems has an extraordinary artistic conception. If the world wants to hear this Peng recite a poem, how can they understand the true meaning within without washing their ears? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points, 10 bragging points." So that's what he meant. You are too pretentious. You dare to compete with the heavens? I hope you don't fall to your death later. Many great rocks were filled with disdain in their hearts. Some of them even lowered their heads and spat. They really couldn't stand Wang Kai's pretentious look. Ho ho, I hope you're not a sanctimonious person. Otherwise, I'll cut off your legs as a warning to others. Princess Ruoyan said with a faint smile. She felt that Wang Kai was very interesting. Wang Kai shrugged and pretended to think about it. He walked 7 steps and stopped abruptly on the 7th step. He nodded and smiled. Got it. Composing a poem in 7 steps? Is there an end to this pretentious act? The group of demons rolled their eyes and gritted their teeth in hatred. Some of them even covered their eyes as they felt embarrassed for him. Once upon a time, beneath the golden mountain, I gazed upon the golden feather peak. The Milky Way hung with golden water, and a golden hibiscus bloomed. With a wave of my hand, who would follow me? You were the host, crouching on a cloud pine. Wang Kai's expression was indifferent as he recited softly. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place went silent. The group of demons widened their eyes and opened their mouths, as if they were collectively waiting to be fed. He actually composed it. It's really a poem in 7 steps. Ruoyan's beautiful eyes widened as well. Her red lips parted slightly. The golden pen between her slender fingers couldn't help but fall onto the table. She couldn't believe that he actually had such talent. You are the host, crouching on the cloud pine. What is your name? If you truly have no one to accompany you on this trip to the Golden Feather Peak, as the host, I am willing to follow you. Ruoyan's beautiful eyes rippled with different colors. She stood up and bowed slightly. Her appearance was shy, like a little girl waiting to be let go. Wang Kai's expression was extremely astonished. Even though he somewhat expected that after he recited the poem, he would for sure gain this girl's favor. He didn't expect her to be at this level. Ahem, my name is Peng Kai. You can call me Young Master Kai. Wang Kai softly smiled. Peng Kai. Hearing this, Ruoyan's eyes flashed. Her face was full of smiles as she softly nodded. She softly said, if that's the case, then from now on, your name will be Jean Kai. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the group of demons' expressions changed drastically. Their breathing quickened as they stared at Wang Kai. Their looks of jealousy were beyond words. Jean Kai. The corner of Wang Kai's lips twitched. Just as he was about to speak, he realized that the group of rocks were behaving this way. He couldn't help but be confused. He then asked, Big dumb cat, why are they behaving like this? Within the Golden Rock clan, the normal bloodline is called Peng. Only rocks that are recognized by the Golden Feather Peak are given the Jean name. Once given the Jean name, it means that one has become a core member of the Golden Feather Peak and has an extremely high status. The cat stroked his long whiskers and softly smiled. He didn't expect Wang Kai to be this powerful. Not only did he gain the favor of Princess Ruoyan, but he also received the Jean name as a reward. So that's how it is. Wang Kai suddenly understood. Although he didn't care much about the Jean name, he had to pretend to be surprised. He immediately cupped his fists and pretended to be excited. Thank you, Princess, for bestowing the Jean name upon me. Come with me. Whoosh! Princess Ruoyan's graceful figure gently floated and stepped into the clouds. Wang Kai's heart thumped violently when he saw this. Was she going to the peak of the Golden Feather Peak? Immediately, he did not dare to be negligent. With a tap of his feet, he followed closely behind. I can't see your cultivation level. What level are you at? Princess Ruoyan's eyes flashed as she asked. The peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm, just 1 step away from the Half-Emperor realm. Wang Kai quickly thought about it. He didn't say it was too high. After all, young experts who could reach the Half-Emperor realm or the Great Emperor realm were bound to become supreme youths. Even if they didn't become supreme youths, their reputation would be great. The Quasi-Emperor realm was just right. It was also the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm, implying that he was only 1 step away. As expected, Princess Ruoyan's eyes flashed with disappointment. However, she still nodded and forced a smile. Judging from your foundation, you should be 16 years old. You're already considered a demon to be able to reach the peak of the Quasi-Emperor realm. Since I'm very satisfied with your poem, I'll fulfill my promise and bring you to the golden feather ancestral tree to cultivate for 3 days. You'll break through to the half-emperor realm in one go. Wang Kai was stunned. He said that he was at the peak of the quasi-emperor realm. Was it that much lower? Did she have to look so disappointed and disdainful? Haha. Thank you, Princess Ruoyan. Wang Kai cupped his fists and smiled. Whoosh! As Wang Kai and Princess Ruoyan pierced through the clouds, the audience below the poetry recital stage had already burst into an uproar. Bastard! That Peng Kai is really despicable. He's so pretentious. How could Princess Ruoyan like him? He's not called Peng Kai now, but Jin Kai. From now on, the Golden Feather Peak will have another core member. No, we must inform Prince Jin Duo about this, lest that pretentious Peng Kai capture Princess Ruoyan's heart. That's right. Prince Jin Duo has been interested in Princess Ruoyan for a long time. If it weren't for the Quasi-Emperor Peng Nine, he would have been engaged to Princess Ruoyan long ago. I think we should inform Quasi-Emperor Peng Nine as well. If Prince Jin Duo really gets into the limelight and Princess Ruoyan succeeds in the engagement, then wouldn't we have to look on foolishly? Yes, inform Quasi-Emperor Peng Nine as well. If they come together, that Peng Kai is destined to die. If Prince Jin Duo and Prince Peng Nine meet, a great battle is inevitable. Haha. In the end, Princess Ruoyan still doesn't like anyone. Won't we have another chance? The crowd of demons whispered to each other and discussed fervently. Each of their plots and machinations was more cunning than the last. The 6th chapter was delivered. Chapter 241. At the peak of Golden Feather Mountain, a towering tree stood in the middle of the mountain. Its branches were golden, its leaves were golden, and its bottom was burning with golden flames. It was a dazzling sight to behold. However, the most eye-catching thing was the golden fruits on the tree. There were exactly 100 of them, palm-sized and oval in shape. The surface of the fruits shone with golden light, as if they were gilded with gold. Wang Kai followed Princess Ruoyan and landed on the mountain peak, about 10 feet away from the golden feather ancestral tree. Looking at the golden feather fruits on the tree, Wang Kai's eyes darted around as he counted silently in his heart. 100, that means Ben Xiao can only take 10? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes, feeling a little uncomfortable for a moment. Such a treasure was right in front of him. There were clearly 100 of them, but he could only take 10. This feeling was truly unbearable. Wang Kai wished he could uproot the golden feather ancestral tree. But then again, he did not have any deep enmity with the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Similar to the Kunping clan, this clan did not take the initiative to kill him. Otherwise, he would have been intercepted by the golden-winged Great Rock clan when he passed by the Kunping clan. More importantly, the Little Rock King Peng Nine was a member of this clan and also came from Fan Province with him. Although there were small grudges between them, there was no deep enmity between them. Furthermore, they were both indebted to each other. Therefore, he cannot be too ruthless. Thus, he immediately dismissed the idea of uprooting the Little Rock clan. Sigh, there are not many people like Ben Xiao, who is so righteous and treats money like dirt. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed repeatedly. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Ben Xiao, righteous. Princess Ruoyan's eyes flashed when she heard this. She was rather surprised and asked with a smile, Ben Xiao's nickname is not bad. It sounds much better than this rocks. Only, how are you righteous? Wang Kai's heart suddenly jumped when he heard this. He quickly waved his hand and pretended to sigh perfunctorily. As the saying goes, one doesn't need to leave one's name for doing good deeds. Moreover, it's all in the past. It's not worth mentioning. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Oh, it seems like Lord's sacred ancestor Jin Shi isn't here. You should cultivate here for now. When Lord's sacred ancestor returns, you'll be able to get closer to the golden feather ancestral tree with his permission, Princess Ruoyan said softly. Following which, She gently waved her jade-like hand, and 2 golden cushions were placed under her feet. Ancestor Goldwing. He should be a Saint Emperor of the golden-winged Great Pung clan, right? It seemed Nyoja Tian had succeeded. With that in mind, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and took out the god-punishing brush. Under Princess Run's surprised gaze, he drew a line in the air in front of her. Freeze! Whoosh! However, Princess Ruoyan didn't react in the slightest. Instead, she stared at the death god brush in amazement. She laughed softly and said, "The brush never leave your body." Jinkai, could it be that you also know how to draw? It didn't work? Seeing this, Wang Kai's expression froze. He couldn't help but wave his brush again. This time, he drew the word dance. However, it was still useless. Because not many people knew about the god-punishing brush, the brush was no different from an ordinary wooden brush, and Wang Kai's spiritual path technique didn't cause any spiritual energy fluctuations. Princess Wen didn't notice anything strange. However, in Wang Kai's eyes, this situation was extremely awkward. Fortunately, Princess Ruoyan didn't know what he was doing. Otherwise, he would have thrown himself into a bird's nest. Freeze? Dance? What do you mean by that? Princess Ruoyan blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at Wang Kai curiously. This woman's cultivation level was definitely higher than his, and much higher. She was at least a 7th grade Holy King, and her bloodline must be at the 8th grade. Wang Kai was only a 6th grade Holy King. His bloodline was also at the 8th grade, but he was at least 1 grade lower. Before answering Empress, this Pung has a question to ask. I wonder if Empress can answer it? Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather indifferent smile. Princess Ruoyan nodded slightly. Her jade-like hands gently pinched her dress, and she elegantly sat cross-legged on the golden cushion. Then she softly smiled and said, "Ask away. May I know what cultivation level you are at? If possible, I hope you can give me a few pointers." Wang Kai said with a smile, "You've just reached the peak of the Holy King realm. There's no harm in giving you a few pointers." Princess Ruoyan softly smiled. She still didn't notice anything strange. She thought Wang Kai wanted to ask her for some advice. Peak of the Holy King realm. Wasn't it the 9th grade Holy King realm? His bloodline was definitely not lower than the 8th grade. Compared to himself, it was a full 3 grades higher. Even if he used the 8 inner hidden gates and the Imperial Dao clone, Wang Kai didn't want to fight directly. If he did, it would definitely attract the experts of the golden-winged Great Rocks. At that time, it would be impossible for him to escape. Big stupid cat, hurry up and trap Princess Ruoyan for a moment. Wang Kai hurriedly sent his thoughts into the heaven-reaching tower. With Lord Cat's ability, he could even trap sovereigns among saints for 100 breaths. A mere peak Holy King was naturally nothing to him. Wang Kai could only rely on him now. Simple. After this, you have to refine a batch of holy pills for me. I want to break through to the Holy King realm. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and smiled. Wang Kai's face darkened. He cursed the stupid cat for picking the right time. He immediately replied with his thoughts, "No problem. Jin Kai, what are you thinking? Cultivation requires painstaking effort and comprehension. There are so many experts in the world. If one state of mind is not stable, it will be difficult to reach a higher level." Princess Ruoyan smiled slightly, but the disappointment in her eyes deepened. She thought that Wang Kai was feeling inferior because of the difference between their realms. Wang Kai's forehead was full of black lines. He secretly thought that such a powerful person like Ben Xiao was being underestimated time and time again. His face darkened, and he smiled viciously. "Jin Kai, your grandpa. Hurry up and trap her." Buzz. Abruptly, the small golden pagoda on Wang Kai's ear flew out and stopped in front of Princess Ruoyan. Inside the pagoda, Lord Cat's voice could be heard. 3,000 illusions. Seal the mind. Whoosh. Princess Ruoyan's face had long since turned cold. Her good impression of Wang Kai from before had completely vanished after hearing his insults. Now that he had suddenly attacked, she naturally wouldn't let him off so easily. However, before she could do anything, she froze on the seat with a dazed expression. Lord Cat's illusions conceal her for an hour. Lord Cat stroked his whiskers and smiled proudly. Wang Kai nodded in satisfaction when he heard this. Looking at Princess Ruo Yin, who was sitting there in a daze, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes. He reached out and lifted her chin, taking in the full view of her beautiful face. Such a beautiful, elegant, and quiet woman really made people unable to stop themselves from looking at her. Wang Kai was the same. Under Lord Cat's astonished gaze, he unexpectedly lowered his head and kissed her. Fellow Taoists, please support the original version. A subscription only costs 10 cents, but it gives me motivation to create more exciting content. Thank you for subscribing and supporting me. Chapter 242. Brat, you're shameless. Inside the sky-split tower, Lord Cat looked on with utter disdain, especially when he saw Wang Kai smacking his lips twice on Princess Ruoyan's red lips. Lord Cat lifted his paw and covered his eyes. He couldn't bear to watch. Smack! Wang Kai ignored him. He closed his eyes slightly and felt the softness and smoothness of her red lips, as well as the fragrance. He couldn't help but kiss her again. Bastard, how dare you take advantage of Princess Ruoyan like this? You're really courting death. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, two figures appeared in the air. The one who spoke was an extremely burly young man. He was about 26 or 27 years old. He was covered in golden armor and held a golden spear in his hand. This great rock demon was the prince of the golden-winged Great Rock clan, Jin Duo. Wang Kai was naturally familiar with the young man beside him. He was the golden-winged little rock, Wang Peng9. Jin Duo, who was already interested in Princess Ruoyan, was fuming with rage when he saw this. He roared and brandished his golden spear, thrusting it toward Wang Kai. Freeze! Buzz! However, Wang Kai turned his hand and made a stroke. The word freeze was directly imprinted on Jin Duo's body, immobilizing him. He could only stare angrily at Wang Kai. Bastard! Who are you? You can use spiritual spells. Are you a talisman cultivator of the spirit state? What do you want to do by sneaking into the golden-winged Great Rock clan? Jin Duo scolded sternly. However, he saw that Wang Kai was still kissing Princess Ruoyan's red lips. His face turned livid, and his eyes were filled with jealousy. Jin Duo had fantasized about this scene countless times, but today he saw someone else doing it. One can imagine how he felt. TSK, your lips are soft, smooth, and fragrant. Kissing them makes me feel like I'm in the clouds, floating and ecstatic. Thank you for your hospitality. Wang Kai shrugged and stood up. He seemed to be enjoying himself as he praised. Crack, crack. Such words directly provoked Prince Jin Duo. He immediately roared. Peng9, what are you looking at? Why aren't you killing him? If you can save Princess Ruoyan, what's wrong with giving up the position of emperor to you? Whoosh. These words immediately caused Wang Kai to raise his eyebrows. The god-punishing brush in his hand swayed and spun as he swept a playful glance at the Little Rock King. He smiled faintly and said, Are you the Quasi-Emperor's son? This is good too. Whoosh. Wang Kai suddenly appeared in front of Jin Duo. With a flip of his hand, he knocked Jin Duo unconscious. He shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, You're burly and powerful, and you're the Emperor's son of the golden-winged Great Peng clan. You're suitable to be Benshio's coachman. Whoosh. After Wang Kai kept Prince Jin Duo into the heaven-reaching tower, Little Rock Peng9 said, I didn't expect it to be you. Rock 9 naturally recognized the death god brush. Previously, he had suffered under this brush. Earlier, he hadn't attacked or said anything because he recognized Wang Kai. Haha, from now on, Prince Jin Duo will be Benshio's coachman. As for you, the Quasi-Emperor's son, you're not far away from being promoted, right? In this way, you owe Benshio another favor. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Peng9's eyes flickered and his expression was extremely complicated. He had thought that he would definitely fight with Wang Kai, but he did not expect the gap between them to be so obvious. Even Princess Ruoyan, who was at the peak of the Saint King realm, was controlled by him. He was still in the Saint realm. How could he defeat Wang Kai? He probably did not even have the right to fight with him. If possible, I really hope that I can return the favor as soon as possible. Peng Nine shook his head and sighed self-deprecatingly. The gap between him and Wang Kai was getting bigger and bigger. The things that he could help with were naturally getting smaller and smaller. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and shrugged, ignoring him. He said that he owed Peng Nine a favor, but he did not care at all. He only helped Peng Nine because they were both from the Fan Prefecture. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, Wang Kai flipped his hand, and 10 golden feather fruit from the golden feather ancestral tree flew over. Your goal. If that's the case, you'll have to severely injure me, Peng Nine said with a slightly ugly expression. Otherwise, if Wang Kai took 10 golden feather fruits and left safely while Peng Nine was unharmed, wouldn't it be suspicious? Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this and put away all the golden feather fruits. He looked at Rock 9 with a playful expression and suddenly grinned. Very simple. Bang! Wah! Wang Kai suddenly struck out with his palm. Immediately, Rock 9's body was sent flying, and he crashed into the mountain wall. Who knew how many of his ribs had been broken? Cough, cough. I'll remember this. Peng Nine grimaced as blood flowed from his mouth. He glared at Wang Kai with an angry expression. He definitely did not expect this guy to be so heavy-handed. And there was no hesitation at all. Wang Kai casually shrugged and glanced at Princess Ruoyan. Looking at her pretty face, he could not help but kiss her again. Goodbye. If we meet again, Ben Xiao will definitely see you as a beauty. Swoosh! Wang Kai chuckled softly. With a tap of his foot, he stepped into the air and flew down from Golden Feather Mountain. If possible, he naturally wanted to take this girl with him. However, the golden-winged Great Peng clan would definitely not let a Saint King princess go. Moreover, he could not trap her with an illusion every day, right? Wouldn't it be boring if he did that? The golden-winged Great Peng clan would be furious if he stole the 10 golden feather fruits. Buzz! After flying out of Golden Feather Mountain, Wang Kai used his godly soul to search for Niu Zhetian's whereabouts. When he saw the situation, he quickly flew over. Where did you come from, you monster ox? Why did you insult me like that? In the forest, Niu Zhetian was lying on the ground, gasping for breath. In front of him were dozens of strong cultivators of the golden-winged Great Peng clan. The person who spoke was an old man with white hair on his temples. He wore a golden robe, had golden hair, golden eyebrows, and golden eyes. Although he looked old, he contained an extremely terrifying power. That old man was a Saint Emperor of the golden-winged Great Peng clan. Saint Ancestor Jin Shi. There were many strong cultivators present, including Saint Kings and Saint Emperors. If they had been able to defeat Niu Zhetian, they would not have asked Saint Ancestor Jin Shi to come. However, the result was still beyond the expectations of many rocks. Even Sacred Ancestor Jin Shi was unable to injure this bull demon in the slightest. After fighting for so long, Niu Zhetian had lost his strength and was lying on the ground, unwilling to move. However, it was impossible for them to harm him. Chapter 243. There weren't many people who dared to insult a Saint Emperor. Pa! Pa! Niu Zhetian snorted disdainfully. If I hadn't insulted you, you wouldn't have come out, he said proudly. Below Tortoise Mountain, in the Oxhead Mountain, on the Oxhead Mountain, I am Niu Zhetian, your grandpa. Tortoise Mountain, Oxhead Mountain, Oxhead Mountain? Sacred Ancestor Jin Shi frowned. Tortoise Mountain was famous in the Monster Continent, but he had never heard of Oxhead Mountain and Oxhead Mountain. Imprison him for now, said Sacred Ancestor Jin Shi indifferently. Sacred Ancestor, nothing can imprison him, said a holy Emperor Rock respectfully. Then let's seal him. Sacred Ancestor, nothing can imprison him. Then throw him out of Golden Feather Mountain range, said Sacred Ancestor Jin Shi angrily. They couldn't kill him. They couldn't imprison him. They couldn't imprison him. They couldn't imprison him. They couldn't imprison him. they couldn't seal him. Venerated ancestor, we've already thrown him out of Goldfeather Mountain range 79 times. Each time, the heavenly king, De Pung, abruptly paused. He could naturally sense Goldfeather's anger and didn't dare to continue. However, Saint Ancestor Jean Qi clearly understood the meaning behind his words. "Damn you, what enmity do you have with the great golden-winged Pung clan?" shouted Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi angrily. However, the other great rocks looked at Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi suspiciously. Neo-Jetian had been insulting Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi ever since he had appeared. If there was enmity between them, then it was... But none of the great rocks dared say it out loud. "Oomph. You're just a golden bird who has cultivated for 3,000 years. How dare you talk to me like that?" said Neo-Jetian disdainfully. He stood up and snorted. "Let's fight another 300 rounds." Shua. Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi's face was ashen, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. Encountering such a troublesome bull demon, he could be considered to have 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Divine Ancestor! Divine Ancestor! Suddenly, a shout filled with anxiety and anger rang out, causing Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi and the other great rocks to be stunned. In the distance, Wang Kai wore golden armor and flapped his golden wings as he rapidly flew over. "Why are you so flustered? Hurry up and tell me." Sacred Ancestor Jean harumphed with displeasure. Wang Kai didn't even look at Neo-Jetian. He knelt down on one knee and said respectfully, "Divine Ancestor Jean Qi, the human cultivator Wang Kai snuck into Golden Feather Mountain and captured Princess Royan's heart. He also used her to reach the peak of Golden Feather Mountain and injured Quasi-Emperor Peng Nine and kidnapped Emperor Jin Duo. What's even more infuriating is that he what? Tell me." At that moment, not only did the great rock's expressions change, but even Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi could no longer remain calm. He looked like an erupting volcano, as if he had thought of something bad, causing his breathing to quicken. He stole 10 golden feather. Bastard. Swoosh. In an instant, before Wang Kai could finish saying the 3 words golden feather fruit, Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi had already berated him sternly. He immediately turned into a stream of light and charged towards the Golden Feather Mountain. The great rock's expressions changed drastically when they saw this, and they followed closely behind. "Let's go too." Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile. Smack! Neo-Jetian snorted and snorted. "Since you have such a strong record, I won't argue with you for being slow." Swoosh! Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and glanced at him mockingly. He immediately turned around and sat on Neo-Jetian's back. Swoosh! Neo-Jetian jumped up into the air and disappeared into the horizon at an incredible speed. At the same time, at the peak of Golden Feather Mountain, after Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi appeared, he hurried to the Golden Feather Ancestral Tree to check. When he found that there were indeed 10 golden feather trees missing, he roared angrily. "Wang Kai, Crown Prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, the golden-winged great rocks will definitely see you as their greatest enemy." Swoosh! At that moment, Princess Ruoyin woke up with the help of Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi, Jean Kai, Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi. Princess Ruoyin was stunned as she looked at the furious Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi. Wang Kai was nowhere to be seen. There was only Rock 9, who had fainted from his injuries. As smart as she was, she immediately thought of something. "Who is Jean Kai? What is going on? Tell me the truth." Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi said angrily. Princess Ruoyan's eyes flashed. She didn't dare to lie in front of Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi. What does Peng Jean Kai look like?" Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi asked through gritted teeth, breathing heavily. He'd already guessed, but now he was even more certain. As Princess Ruoyan described the appearance of Wang Kai's demonic rock form, Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi roared, "Peng Kai, Wang Kai, Crown Prince of the Treasure Trove Pavilion, this sacred ancestor will definitely kill you." Whoosh! Sacred Ancestor Jean Qi turned into a streak of light and shot back to where he'd come from. He couldn't believe that a mighty sacred ancestor would be toyed with by a brat and a stupid cow. And yet, he hadn't realized that the rock was actually Wang Kai. He's crowned prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion. Wang Kai. Princess Ruoyan's eyes flickered. She suddenly thought of something and lifted her finger to touch her red lips. Her face instantly blushed. Although his consciousness had been sealed just now, his senses were still there. Now that she thought about it, damned lecher. Princess Ruoyan clenched her teeth and cursed. When the other rocks saw Princess Ruoyan's reaction, their faces turned pale. They hadn't expected her to still be under Wang Kai's spell. Little Wang, we need to find a place to hide quickly. Niuzha Tian snorted and quickly landed in a dense forest. Let's hide here. As long as Ben Shao doesn't use any tricks, his aura won't be obvious. Even a Saint Emperor won't be able to detect him, Wang Kai said with a shrug. Niuzha Tian didn't refute. He shook his head and said, as long as Master Niu doesn't want others to discover him, it doesn't matter who comes. Hee. Ha ha ha. Wang Kai grinned. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have such an awesome team? If we want to leave the Golden Feather Mountain Range, we can only walk, Niuzha Tian snorted. Wang Kai nodded. If they walked, they would definitely attract the attention of the Golden Winged Rock. After thinking for a moment, he said, we should be in the territory of the Divine Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan. If we walk, it will take us at least 7 days. The man and the cow rejoiced. If they hadn't run at full speed, it would have taken them several years to walk out of the Golden Feather Mountain Range. Chapter 244. Little Brat Wang, give me the golden feather fruits. I won't bully you. Just give me 7. Niuzha Tian snorted. There were 10 of them, and he wanted 7 of them? How dare he say he wasn't bullying them? Hearing this, Wang Kai's face suddenly darkened as he glared fiercely at Yang Kai and snorted. This time, the big stupid cat also put in a lot of effort. There are a total of 10 golden feather fruits, 3 for each of us. The remaining 1 will be kept by this young master for the time being. Although the golden feather fruit is precious, Lord Cat has no use for it. My lifespan is long enough, and my potential has reached its limit. You should refine a batch of Saint-level heaven-grade Qi amassing pills for Lord Cat. Inside Tong Tian Tower, Lord Cat stroked his long beard and laughed. Papa! When Niuzha Tian heard that, his eyes widened, and he said, you're just a little cat, so you know what you're doing. Not bad. Stupid cow, if you don't agree, you can come inside the Tower of Babel and fight me. The cat stroked his beard and smiled disdainfully. Niuzha Tian shook his tail and ignored him. He stared at Wang Kai and smiled. Little brat Wang Kai, since he doesn't want them, give them to me. He said he doesn't want the golden feather fruits, but he said he wants Ben Shao to make some holy level Qi gathering pills for him. It's reasonable for Ben Shao to take his share. As for you, only get 3. Take it or leave it. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Papa, Papa, Papa. Niuzha Tian snorted and said angrily, Little brat Wang, you are not fair. I was beaten up by those chickens for a few hours, and you only gave me 3? Wang Kai couldn't help but laugh. He waved his hand and said 4 no more. That's Ben Shao's bottom line. Fine, I'll give you 4. When I break the seal, I'll fight you to the death. Give it to me, Niuzha Tian shouted. Whoosh! Wang Kai shrugged and took out 4 golden fruits. Before he could throw them out, Niuzha Tian stretched out his tongue and grabbed them. Lord Cat didn't need the golden feather fruit, and so did Niuzha Tian. The only reason he took it over was to prepare it for Kong Ro. Wang Kai was well aware of this. As for himself, he had no use for the golden feather fruit. He did not need any external help to break through to the next level. The only reason he snatched it was to sell it for a good price and exchange it for spirit stones to show off. Even if he didn't sell it, the golden feather fruit alone was enough to make countless people covet it. Old cow, hand over the 10 pill recipes that you promised Ben Shao. Including the recipe for refining the golden feather fruit and sun fruit, Wang Kai said with a faint smile. Niuzha Tian grunted. He didn't try to bargain, but he didn't dare refuse. After all, Kong Ro wasn't here, so he had to give it to Neo If Kong Ro woke up and Wang Kai tried to force him to give him the recipes, he would lose face. Great Sun Vajra Pill. When Wang Kai received the 10 recipes from Neo he realized that one of them was quite strange. The golden feather fruit and sun fruit could be used to concoct pills at the same time. The Great Sun Vajra Pill was missing one ingredient. Winged Dragon Bone. Wang Kai looked at the missing ingredient and was surprised. He couldn't help but smile and say, "Water demons turn into flood dragons after 500 years. Flood dragons turn into dragons after 1,000 years. Dragons turn into horned dragons after 500 years. Winged dragons turn into winged dragons after 1,000 years. I wonder if there are any dragons in the territory of the Dragon Clan?" "Papa," Neo snorted and said, "Of course there are, but they are very rare. However, the Dragon Clan is very lazy. They don't move for 1,000 years. Even if you were standing on a mountain, the winged dragon could be a rock under your feet." So, it was very difficult to find? Wang Kai was speechless. Black lines appeared on his forehead as he stared at him. Give this young master another pill recipe. It would be best if the golden feather fruit and sun fruit could be added into the cauldron at the same time. Little Wang, don't underestimate this pill. It's the only recipe that can be used to concoct pills at the same time. Besides, it's better than ordinary holy grade heavenly pills. If it's concocted successfully, any cultivator can consume it and achieve the Vajra body. Even holy emperors will come and ask for it, said Neo Vajra body? Wang Kai frowned when he heard that. He didn't know much about body constitution. However, he didn't care. Even if he had a strong body constitution, it was useless for him. He had no choice. He just needed a brag to break through to the next level. Calm down. The strong cultivators of the Golden Winged Great Rocks are here. Don't move. Suddenly, Mr. Cat said to Wang Kai using telepathy. Neo and Wang Kai were startled. They raised their heads and looked at the sky. There were many golden-winged great rocks flying in the sky. They were looking around coldly. Their chi was invisible, but they couldn't escape the eyes of the golden-winged great rocks. 3,000 illusions, illusion world. Buzz. A 7-colored light came out of the Tower of Babel and surrounded Wang Kai and Neo Wang Kai and Neo didn't feel anything, but they couldn't see anything in the eyes of the golden-winged great rocks. It was as if there were no living creatures in the forest. Grandpa Cat's illusory technique can only allow you to remain motionless. Do not move as you please to break Grandpa Cat's illusory technique. Grandpa Cat stroked his long whiskers and cautiously reminded them. Wang Kai and Neo didn't dare move. Even if Neo wasn't afraid of the Great Golden Winged Rock Clan, he would still be beaten up by the Great Golden Winged Rock Clan. He could endure it for a few days or even a few months, but if he was beaten for hundreds or thousands of years, wouldn't Neo die of depression? Can't you use illusions to get us out of the Golden Feather Mountain range safely? Asked Wang Kai using telepathy. Within the Tower of Babel, Cat Lord stroked his beard and smiled faintly. Of course, but you'll have to first trap Saint Ancestor Jin Shi with illusions. Otherwise, Saint Emperors will be able to break my illusions with a wave of their hand, as long as they're not affected. How difficult would it be to trap Saint Ancestor Jin Shi with an illusion technique? It would be fine if there were no other great rocks interfering, but once there were, Wang Kai admitted that he did not have the ability to withstand them. Wang Kai couldn't help but look up at the golden-winged great rocks in the sky. He hoped they would leave as soon as possible. Even if he wasn't afraid as a martial artist, how could he endure the itch in his heart? Please support the original version. Support the original version. Support the original version. Thank you very much. Chapter 245. They stood there motionlessly for more than 4 hours before the golden-winged great rocks in the sky gradually changed their positions. However, they didn't leave. They glanced at Wang Kai and Neo from time to time. "Old Neo, Why don't we go back to the Golden Feather Mountain? How can we just let it go like this? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sent a rather mocking voice transmission. Neoja Tian's eyes widened. He said, "If we go back, it won't be the yellow-furred holy ancestor bothering us. It will be the yellow-furred holy ancestor bothering us. If you want to go back, you can go back yourself. I don't have time to go back." Even if they weren't afraid of the holy ancestor, they could be beaten up for hundreds or thousands of years. Wang Kai smiled. Of course, he wouldn't go back to the Golden Feather Mountain. He just wanted to tease Neoja Tian. Hey, what are you playing? Are you trying to see who can stand longer? Suddenly, Wang Kai and Neoja Tian heard a boy's voice. Wang Kai and Neoja Tian looked at the source of the voice and saw a strange little beast under a golden feather tree. It was looking at them curiously. The little beast wasn't very big. It was only 5 feet long, but it had a dragon's head and unicorn's feet. Its body was like a leopard's, and its tail was like a dragon's. It had a pair of wings on its shoulders, but it couldn't spread its wings. There was also a horn on its head. Is it a dragon, a great green-winged ox, and a leopard? Wang Kai was astonished. He had never seen such a strange beast. However, Neoja Tian's eyes were wide open, and he was drooling. He said, using telepathy, "Pishio, auspicious beast. It has a mouth, but no anus. It can swallow the heaven and earth's wealth and chi. If we can catch it, we might be able to get some treasures." Pishio? Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. Only then did he carefully size up the little beast. It was a long while later before he exclaimed in surprise. So the golden color on its body is because it swallowed a treasure from the Golden Feather Mountain Range? Indeed, I didn't think you'd be so knowledgeable. The Pishio beast has 26 forms and 49 clones. Nobody knows what it looks like, but we do know the color of the things it swallows, said Neoja Tian. 26 forms and 49 clones? Wang Kai's eyes bulged when he heard this. Such a powerful beast. Luckily, the one in front of him was just a cub. Moreover, it seemed very interesting. Can you count me in? If I win, you'll eat the small golden pagoda on your ear, okay? The Pishio little beast blinked its eyes and said with an innocent smile, "Did he take a fancy to the Tower of Babel?" Wait a minute. He could see through Master Cat's illusion. Wang Kai suddenly reacted. His face stiffened when he saw the little beast walk to his feet and crouch there with its head held high. It didn't move at all. Big stupid cat, your illusion. Wang Kai was speechless as he transmitted his voice. Inside the Tower of Babel, Master Cat stroked his long whiskers. He didn't show much emotion. He just said indifferently, "In this world, there's no such thing as absolute invincibility." The Pishio could see through Master Cat's illusion because the Tower of Babel couldn't escape its eyes. If Master Cat wanted to deal with it, of course I would have a better illusion. Just because a treasure couldn't escape the Pishio's eyes, it was said that the Pishio's eyes were extremely fierce. As long as it was a treasure, it couldn't escape its eyes. The golden-winged great rocks don't seem to care about it. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He could clearly see that the golden-winged great rocks had seen the existence of the Pishio many times, but they didn't pay attention to it. This situation made Wang Kai quite surprised. The Golden Feather Mountain Range was the territory of the golden-winged great rocks. The Pishio wasn't a member of the golden-winged great rocks. How could they treat him so well? It is said that the Pishio is one of the 9 sons of the Dragon Clan. It is also said that he is the child of the 9 sons of the Dragon Clan. It is said that he is not the son of the Dragon Clan. It is said that he has too many clones, and each of them has different identities. The Golden Feather Mountain Range is very close to the Dragon Clan's territory. It is not surprising that the two sides have interacted with each other. Neoja Tian said, "Was the Pishio a beast that lived in the Dragon Clan's territory?" Wang Kai suddenly raised his eyebrows and glanced down. He saw that the Pishio was still motionless. It didn't even move its eyes. It was no different from a stone statue. "Little guy, what is your name?" Wang Kai was a little curious for a while, so he immediately asked with a soft smile. The Pishio's eyes flashed slightly, but it didn't move at all. Instead, it replied with a clear voice, "Human, you are bad. You want to deceive me? You can't hold on anymore, right? When you lose, that small golden pagoda will be mine. Hearing this, Wang Kai's face suddenly stiffened, secretly thinking that this guy really liked to play. He hadn't even agreed to compete with him yet, but he had already entered the mood. Wang Kai smiled and asked, I'm asking what your name is. If this young master really loses to you, you should at least know who beat this young master, right? Pai Xiao. The Pai Xiao replied. Pai Xiao? I'm asking you how to call me. Are you the only one of the Pai Xiao clan? How do you call each other? You can't all be called Pai Xiao, right? Wang Kai was quite speechless. Pai Xiao heard the words and quickly replied. In the entire monster continent, I am the only one called Pai Xiao. In my clan, they all have the surname Long. Is he in the Dragon Clan? Is he really the descendant of the Dragon Clan? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and was secretly curious. As the man, the ox, and the Pishio stood motionless, 3 full days passed before all the golden-winged rocks in the sky left. Papa, put on. Neo snorted and fell to the ground. He shouted, that group of yellow feathers, when the seal is broken, I will come back and beat them up. Shua. Wang Kai also relaxed at this moment. He was sweating for 3 days. Now that he was released, he suddenly felt light and fell to the ground with great comfort. I won. Hand over the small golden tower. The little beast Pai Xiao cried out in joy. It circled around Wang Kai in a circle. Its eyes were shining as it stared at the Tower of Babel. You want my ass? This young master was just exercising his body. Do you understand? From the beginning to the end, did Ben Xiao say anything about competing with you? Besides, let alone standing still for 3 days, even if you stand for tens of thousands of years, isn't it easy? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience. Bragging value 10 points. Thank you for supporting the original version. Chapter 246. Pai Xiao was obviously stunned when he heard the words. He suddenly stopped and looked up at Wang Kai. He asked puzzledly, Human, you don't even blush when you're bragging. Why are you so confident? Because you bastard. Wang Kai glared at him fiercely. Then, with an indifferent expression, he flicked his clothes and laughed softly. Many people have asked this young master this question, but the answer has always been the same. It is because this young master is the world's #1 bragging god. I am proficient in both literature and martial arts. I can endure pain that others can't endure. I can refine pills and draw talismans. Tens of thousands of strong masters all bow down to me. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Xiao. Suddenly, the Pishio's body moved violently. It jumped up and opened its mouth to bite the Tower of Babel below Wang Kai's ear. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect the Pai Xiao to be so fast. However, he didn't care. The Pai Xiao was only a demon emperor. It couldn't pose any threat to him. He immediately raised his hand and slapped it. Bang! The head of the Pai Xiao suffered a heavy blow, and its body immediately flew back and fell to the ground. It wobbled and snorted twice, then fainted on the ground with a plop. Bang! Neo snorted and looked at the unconscious Pai Xiao. He said, Wang boy, you did a good job. Open the stomach of the Pai Xiao. There must be many treasures hidden inside. Wang Kai was instantly filled with disdain when he heard this. He flipped his hand and threw the Pai Xiao into the Tong Tian Tower, then said with a faint smile, Old bull, this Pai Xiao didn't have the intention to harm you or me. It also has the temperament of a child and is only a cub at its age. With this young master's benevolent nature, how can I do such an evil thing as cutting open its chest? Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th grade Saint King realm. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly, and there was a hint of joy in them. He was now a 7th grade Holy King, and was only 2 grades away from stepping into the realm of Holy Emperor. At that time, he would definitely be able to cultivate his martial technique to the saint level. His strength would also be able to step into the ranks of the leaders of second-rate forces. Even among the top first-rate forces, he would be considered the number 2 figure. Papa, Niu Zhetian looked at Wang Kai with disdain. If Wang Kai said he was good and evil, then he could understand. But if he said he was merciful and wanted to save the world, then that was bullshit. Oof. It's good enough that you don't harm the world. Niu Zhetian snorted disdainfully. Wang Kai shrugged indifferently and put his hands behind his back. Niu Zhetian looked at him with disdain. Wang Kai cleared his throat and smiled. Ben Xiao is handsome and talented. He's a virtuous person. Why would he harm the world? I'm afraid that countless beautiful women would take the initiative to come to Ben Xiao's door to harm him. What a sin. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. If this young master had the chance to do it all over again, this young master would really wish to be born a little uglier and a little more stupid. That way, I wouldn't be as talented as I am now and be worshipped by the world. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again, pretending to be lonely. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Even Mr. Cat, who was in the Sky Tower, couldn't take it anymore. He said, "Little brat, if you have time to brag, why don't you leave the Golden Feather Mountain Range as soon as possible? You'd better get out of here. If you keep bragging like this, I won't help you when the Great Golden Ra comes back." Bang! Niu Zhetian snorted and said, "Cat, Master Niu and you are on the same side. Haha, if we were talking about other things, of course I wouldn't agree with you. But when it comes to his bragging, I am willing to stand with you." Cat stroked his long whiskers and smiled faintly. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He didn't expect the two of them to be able to remain calm. If it was before, they would have already started quarreling. Niu Zhetian and Mr. Cat couldn't stand Wang Kai's bragging. Some of it was tolerable, but some of it was intolerable. Green Dragon Mountain Range, Phoenix Mountain Range, Dragon Phoenix Valley. 7 days later, Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian left the Golden Feather Mountain Range. They saw a stone tablet in front of them and were surprised. There were 3 paths carved on the stone tablet. The left path led to the Green Dragon Mountain Range, the right path led to the Phoenix Mountain Range, and the middle path led to the Dragon Phoenix Valley. This is the border between the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan. This stone tablet is a warning to other clans not to enter. Little boy, do you want to go to the Green Dragon Mountain Range or the Phoenix Mountain Range first? Niu Zhetian snorted and asked curiously. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. If he had to choose between the two, he would naturally choose to go to the Green Dragon Mountain Range first. After all, his enmity with the Phoenix Clan was the deepest. Even if he wanted to go, he would have to come with a high profile and would definitely experience a great battle. Since that was the case, it would be better to go to the Green Dragon Mountain Range first. The most important thing was to find a few dragons to pull the carriage. What is the Dragon Phoenix Valley? Is it a place where the dragons and phoenixes live together? Wang Kai asked curiously. Slap! Niu Zhetian snorted and said disdainfully, "No, from the Dragon Phoenix Valley, you can go straight to the 10,000 Beast Palace." So it leads to the 10,000 Beast Palace. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and indifferently glanced in the direction of the Dragon Phoenix Valley. He then shrugged and smiled with his hand behind his back. Let's go to the Azure Dragon Mountains for now. We have maids, guards, and coachmen now, so we need a few divine dragons to pull the carriage. Yep, they have to be stable. They have to be Saint Kings at the very least. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Niu Zhetian knew he was just bragging. Holy Emperors couldn't be easily captured and used to pull carriages. There are countless dragons in the Green Dragon Mountain Range. Of course, the Golden Dragon Clan is the leader. After the Green Dragon Clan left, the Golden Dragon Clan moved to the Green Dragon Mountain Range. They are one of the 5 strongest clans in the 10,000 Beast Palace. If we can take the green dragon Dao transforming pond. Neoja was drooling. Seeing this, Wang Kai took a few steps back in disgust. With his hands behind his back, he smiled faintly. 5-clawed golden dragon? Interesting. Let's go. Wait, are you going to enter the Green Dragon Mountain Range as a human? I'm afraid that as soon as you enter the Green Dragon Mountain Range, the dragons will kill you. Neoja shouted. What else could he do? Wang Kai was speechless. He clasped his hands behind his back and said, Bin Xiao has never seen a dragon, so he can't transform into one. Neoja eyes widened. He said disdainfully, You're really despicable. Even when you're guilty, you're still so confident. Chapter 247. The 5-clawed golden dragon was the ruler of the Green Dragon Mountain Range, the leader of the dragons, and the strongest race in the 10,000 Demon Temple. Wang Kai naturally had some understanding of the legend of the 5-clawed golden dragon. However, it was still unknown whether his understanding of it was the same as the actual 5-clawed golden dragon. After all, the 5-clawed golden dragon was the symbol of the emperor. Wang Kai had never seen one before. However, in the demon continent, it really did exist. How could he transform into a dragon as he wished? Cat stroked his whiskers and asked curiously, I can help you take its form. When the time comes, you just have to use the demon transformation technique. For example, the golden dragon, the winged dragon, the fire dragon, the ice dragon, the water dragon, the thunder dragon, the black dragon, the flood dragon, etc. There are many types of dragons. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. Bin Xiao is a talented person. I want to transform into the torch dragon. I want to transform into the wind and rain. I want to transform into thunder and lightning. When I open my eyes, I see the day. When I close my eyes, I see the night. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Neoja eyes went wide. Mr. Cat, who was in the Tower of Babel, also stopped stroking his whiskers. The Torch Dragon. Master Cat has only heard about it in legends. I have never seen it in person. I want to transform into a dragon. Master Cat said awkwardly. Papa. Neoja snorted disdainfully and said, Little boy, it's not that I look down on you, but if you turn into a torch dragon, you'll be captured by thousands of dragons. When they find out you're not strong enough, they'll eat you. How dare they eat the ancestors of dragons? Wang Kai was stunned when he heard this. Could it be that the torch dragon was not the ancestor of dragons? But according to the legends, the torch dragon should be the strongest. It was the ancestor of dragons. Then let's choose the azure dragon. As the saying goes, the azure dragon of the east is the essence of horns. It exhales clouds and stirs thunder. It flies in the 8 directions and travels the 4 underworlds. Come and stand by my side and control thunder. It is the most honorable symbol of the dragon race. Although it's still a little inferior to Ben Xiao's status, it's barely enough. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Papa. Neoja snorted disdainfully and said, The Cyan Dragon doesn't belong to any clan in the animal continent. There's only one Cyan Dragon in the animal continent. It's the last of the 4 godly beasts, and it has already died. If you turn into a Cyan Dragon, you won't be any better than the Torch Dragon, the last of the 4 mythological beasts. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and glanced at him playfully. The Azure Dragon was clearly the leader of the 4 divine beasts, but he said that it was the last. Could it be that there was a grudge between the 2? Ahem, this won't do, that won't do. Which one will do? Bin Xiao is such an extraordinary person. Sigh. There are too few dragons who are worthy of Ben Xiao's status. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed helplessly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Inside the Tower of Babel, the cat's mouth twitched and his eyes squinted. He couldn't help but shout, "Boy, I will transform into a golden dragon for you. This form will allow you to show off in front of countless dragons." Buzz! Before Wang Kai could say anything, a giant dragon appeared in front of him. It was covered in golden dragon scales. Its body was thousands of feet long, and its claws were like knives. Its golden whiskers fluttered in the wind, and its golden eyes shone brightly. The dragon opened its mouth angrily, and its golden tail touched the clouds. It looked quite intimidating. Wouldn't it be troublesome for this young master to move around in such a huge form? Wang Kai frowned as he looked at it. Heh, heh, my transformation is much smaller. However, you can use the demon transformation skill to transform into a human with a dragon head. It will be the same as when you transform into a rock. Otherwise, with such a huge dragon body, even if the Green Dragon Mountain range is vast, it will not be able to accommodate so many dragons. The cat stroked his whiskers and smiled. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. If that was the case, the dragons should be able to travel in the mountain range the same as the rock. It would be more convenient for them to transform into a human form. Demon transformation skill. Buzz. Roar. Roar. In an instant, rays of golden light appeared around Wang Kai's body and disappeared. His body immediately turned into a 5-clawed golden dragon that was thousands of feet long. Golden lightning appeared on his body and floated in the air. It was extremely majestic. The Golden Dragon Clan's main skill is golden lightning. I didn't expect him to be able to transform into one. What kind of martial skill is the demon transformation skill? Nyoja Tian snorted and muttered to himself. Whoosh! In an instant, the golden dragon's body gradually shrank. In the end, he transformed into a dragon head and a human body. His body also transformed into a golden robe, a golden crown, a golden belt, golden pants, and golden boots. If it were not for the fact that he still had a dragon head and a dragon face, he would have looked handsome and extraordinary. However, it looked quite strange now. Well, I should use another folding fan. Patter. Wang Kai turned his hand over, and a golden lightning appeared. Then, it turned into a golden folding fan. As he waved it slightly, the folding fan opened. There are no pictures on it, only 4 big words. I am originally a romantic. When Nyoja Tian saw the 4 big words on Wang Kai's folding fan, he snorted disdainfully. The cat immediately cut off his thoughts. He could not bear to look at it anymore. Enter the Green Dragon Mountain. Capture a dragon to pull a carriage. Find a beautiful woman from the Dragon Clan. If she is beautiful, I will take her as my servant. Wang Kai smiled and waved his folding fan. He immediately stepped into the air and entered the Green Dragon Mountain. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Nyoja Tian followed closely behind. Rumble, rumble, crackle, crackle. The sound of thunder could be heard incessantly. Dark clouds covered the sky and lightning flashed. Bolts of lightning that were as thick as thighs struck down from the sky. It looked like a lightning punishment descending upon the world. Wang Kai and Nyoja Tian, who were flying in the air, were stunned when they saw this. Is there an expert from the Dragon Clan going through the heavenly tribulation here? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked curiously at the crackle. Crackle. Nyoja Tian snorted and said, It's a holy king Kulpa. It's called 9,000 Thunders. If you don't die, you could become a holy king Kulpa. Dragons are extremely strong. They can attract thunders like that. But in the future, it's going to be difficult. Holy emperors have to go through 90,000 thunders. Holy emperors have to go through 90,000 thunders. Holy emperors have to go through 90 million thunders. 9,000 thunders. Holy King Kulpa. In that case, the Dragon Clan member at the Tribulation Transcendence stage is a saint ruler? Haha, just nice to catch it and use it to pull a carriage, but I wonder what clan the dragon is from? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled slightly. He immediately stepped into the air and walked toward the place where the lightning fell. Chapter 248. Wait, Neotian opened his mouth and bit Wang Kai's belt. He opened his big eyes and said, "Little Wang, our goal is the Green Dragon Dao Transformation Pond on Qinglong Mountain. Even if you want a few godly dragons to pull your carriage, only a golden dragon would be worthy of your status." Wang Kai raised his brow when he heard this, grabbed the young man's horn, and threw him aside. Flicking his sleeve, Wang Kai nodded and said with a smile, "What you said is indeed correct. For a person of this young master status, I do need a golden dragon to pull my carriage." Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Neotian looked at him with disdain, but he still nodded and said, "That's right. We shouldn't stay here and cause trouble. We need to go to the Green Dragon Mountain as soon as possible." After all was said and done, this was the main point. Neotian had already seen through Wang Kai's personality. If Wang Kai continued to cause trouble, he would be chased out of the Azure Dragon Mountain range before he even reached the mountain range. Wang Kai knew what he meant. When Neotian had praised him for the first time, he had felt that something was wrong. At that moment, he shrugged his shoulders and smiled indifferently. "Old cow, since you know that I have a noble identity, then you should be even more clear that the nobility of a dragon is not determined by their race. Even if their original race has the lowest status, if they can become the dragon that pulls my chariot, they will naturally become the most inviolable dragon race." Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 8th level of the Holy King lair. You're really shameless. When Neotian heard that, he was speechless. His face stiffened and his eyes widened. He looked like he was about to start a fight, but he couldn't do anything. With his strong defense, he was not afraid of any strong cultivator. Unfortunately, Wang Kai's martial skills were the bane of his strength. Besides, if he wanted to enter the Green Dragon Mountain, he needed Wang Kai's beast transformation technique. Thinking about that, Neotian snorted and followed behind them. He prayed that Lin Feng wouldn't go overboard and cause trouble for himself. At this moment, the empty space in the mountain forest was full of potholes. The mountain forest that was supposed to have a beautiful scenery was no longer in shape. It was as if it had been burned by a big fire. Charred black ashes could be seen everywhere. In the middle of the forest, there was a silver dragon with white scales. It was rolling on the ground and roaring in pain. Crackle, rumble. Lightning pillars continued to descend from high up in the sky. Numerous purple-white lightning bolts struck the silver dragon's body. Every strike caused the silver dragon's body to tremble violently and roll around in extreme pain. By the time Wang Kai and Neotian arrived, the ground around the silver dragon was already covered in blood. Silver dragon scales were falling off from the dragon's body. Fresh blood continuously flowed down between the dragon scales on the silver dragon's body like flowing water. Moreover, whenever the lightning struck again, fresh blood would splatter in all directions like a stone thrown into a river, creating a splash. TSK. This lightning strike is really miserable. What a pity for the dragon scales and blood. If we could sell them, they would be worth a lot. Wang Kai stood in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. He shook his head and sighed. His voice was neither loud nor soft, but the silver dragon clearly heard him. It glared at Wang Kai with its bloodshot eyes and coldly glanced at him. However, when it saw Wang Kai's appearance, its furious and cold aura became even more intense. Neotian thought, what's going to happen is going to happen. The silver dragon is going through a heavenly tribulation, and you're just watching. You're taking joy in its misfortune. How could the silver dragon not be enraged by such actions? Don't talk nonsense. The fact that the silver dragon can attract 9,000 lightning bolts means that it's extremely talented. It won't be difficult for it to pass the heavenly tribulation. It's the first time I've seen such a powerful silver dragon. It's really powerful. Neotian snorted and kept praising the silver dragon. He didn't want the silver dragon to get angry. Wouldn't he be in trouble after the heavenly tribulation? However, the silver dragon looked at Neo Jation coldly. It was filled with murderous intent. It roared and welcomed the lightning bolts. Hee, if we're talking about talent, who in the world can compare to Ben Shao? What's a heavenly tribulation? When Ben Shao went through the heavenly tribulation, it was like he was bathing in water. Why did the silver dragon get struck so miserably? Wang Kai shrugged and snorted disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. So he was bathing in the heavenly tribulation? Neo Jatian's eyes widened. He snorted and said, the saint layer is divided into 4 levels. Each level has a heavenly tribulation. When you became a saint, I didn't know if there was a heavenly tribulation, but when you became a saint king, did you pass the heavenly tribulation? At the same time, the cat in the Tower of Babel stroked his whiskers and said mockingly, when he broke through to the saint layer, he didn't pass the heavenly tribulation either. Slap! Neo Jatian snorted disdainfully and said, little boy, don't think that when you become a saint layer cultivator, there will be a heavenly tribulation. If there is a heavenly tribulation, it means the heavens are jealous of your talent. If there is no heavenly tribulation, it means your talent is ordinary. Wang Kai and Neo Jatian didn't notice that the silver dragon's eyes were twinkling. It looked surprised and disdainful. Ben Shao has passed too many heavenly tribulations. When he was a child, he passed the heavenly tribulation. When he became a saint, he passed countless heavenly tribulations. The heavens must have felt that the heavenly tribulation couldn't do anything to Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Neo Jatian and Mr. Cat looked at him with disdain. They knew he was bragging again. Little silver dragon, Ben Shao wants to ask you, are you willing to be Ben Shao's subordinate and pull Ben Shao's carriage for him? I don't want to boast. Even the leader of the Phoenix clan, Feng Tiannan, would want to work for Ben Shao. Unfortunately, Ben Shao doesn't like him. Wang Kai smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Roar. As soon as these words were spoken, the silver dragon roared angrily. It actually opened its mouth and rebuked angrily. A mere scum of the Golden Dragon clan dares to come and propose marriage to this saintess. You actually want this saintess to pull your carriage? You're courting death. If you don't get out of my territory, I will kill you. Please support the original and subscribe. I will be very grateful. Chapter 249. Holy Maiden? Could it be a female dragon? Hearing that clear and melodious voice, Wang Kai's eyebrows suddenly raised. He looked at her curiously and asked with a soft smile, this young master did invite you to pull the carriage, but what about the matter of the marriage proposal? Where did this come from? However, the silver dragon did not say anything. In fact, it did not even bother to look at Wang Kai. After 4 hours, the dark clouds in the sky gradually dispersed, and the thunder tribulation also dissipated. The silver dragon seemed to have been reborn. The silver dragon scales on her body were extremely dazzling, and the scales that had been cut off earlier had grown back. Congratulations on successfully passing the tribulation. Go with Ben Shao. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. Ayo. The silver dragon flipped its body and soared into the sky. Its enormous body was several thousand feet long. Its cold and disdainful dragon eyes stared at Wang Kai. The dragon opened its mouth and said indifferently, I would rather marry the lowest level of the Red Dragon clan than marry a scum like you. Swoosh! As soon as she finished speaking, the silver dragon rolled her body and rose into the air. You want to leave? You can leave. Oh, my beautiful fiancé, where are you going? Wait for your husband. Just as Wang Kai was about to step forward to stop them, he was interrupted by an extremely ear-piercing voice. Turning his head, he saw a figure rapidly approaching from the distant space. The person who had spoken was a young man. His appearance was similar to his. They were both wearing golden robes, but his face was that of a human. He looked to be about 25 or 26 years old. A golden dragon tribe elite? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but look at the man's feet. Every time he took a step, there would be a burst of golden lightning. Naturally, only the golden dragon tribe possessed such power and influence. At the same time, the young man from the golden dragon tribe also noticed Wang Kai. He stopped in surprise and floated to the opposite side of Wang Kai. "Who are you? Have you obtained permission from the clan to leave the territory of the Green Dragon Mountain?" The young man, Long Hua, questioned in an unfriendly tone. Wang Kai shrugged and glanced at him indifferently. Then, he put his hands behind his back and went around him. He said indifferently, "You're just a great emperor. You're too weak. You're not fit to be Ben Xiao's dragon. You're not even fit to carry his shoes. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Whoosh! Long Hua's eyes immediately turned cold when he heard these words. His figure flashed and blocked Wang Kai in the air as he coldly reprimanded, "Impudent! Could it be that you don't recognize this prince? How dare you speak so rudely? Which palace are you from?" "Which palace?" "Crown Prince." Wang Kai was startled. Naturally, he didn't know much about the factions within the Golden Dragon clan. He frowned and asked, "How many halls are there in the Golden Dragon clan?" Clap, clap. Neo Tian snorted and shook his head. He said telepathically, "I don't know. Back then, when I was outside, the Azure Dragon Mountain was in charge of the Azure Dragon clan. The Golden Dragon clan was second. There were several halls in the Azure Dragon Mountain. The Golden Dragon clan is divided into 18 halls. The first 9 halls are the core of the Dragon clan. They are all pure-blooded golden dragons. The last 9 halls are branches. Their blood isn't pure. Most of them are descendants of other dragon clans through marriage. If you can become the dragon clan's crown prince, you can enter the 3rd hall. You'll be under the leader of the Golden Dragon clan in the 2nd hall. After that, you'll be an elder of the dragon clan and a protector. In the Tower of Babel, Mr. Cat stroked his long whiskers and said in an orderly manner. Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He shrugged and waved the folding fan in his hand. He smiled indifferently and said, "Zeroth Hall Master Long Kai." "The Zeroth Hall?" Even Neo Tian and Mr. Cat were dumbstruck, let alone Crown Prince Long Hua. There were 18 halls. Where did the Zeroth Hall come from? "Long Kai, are you playing with this Crown Prince?" Hey, this Crown Prince thinks you must have snuck out, right?" Long Hua's face was cold as he spoke with a strange sneer. Wang Kai disdainfully glanced at him when he heard this. Holding the folding fan in his hand, he gently patted him on the shoulder and said indifferently, "Go, scram to the side and play. This temple master still has important things to do." Shua! Long Hua's face turned even colder. He was the only crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan. Even though he didn't have a good reputation, he had never been treated like that. However, he couldn't sense Wang Kai's chi. He wasn't sure. Just as Wang Kai was curious about what he would do, the frost on Long Hua's face disappeared and was replaced by a smile. He stepped forward and intimately hugged Wang Kai's shoulder. He laughed and said, "This prince is the same as you. I also snuck out, huh?" Black lines immediately appeared on Wang Kai's forehead when he heard this. The corners of his mouth twitched violently as he looked at the crown prince speechlessly. He gently waved his folding fan and pushed the crown prince to the side as he said in an indifferent voice, "This hall master has important matters to attend to, so I will not speak with the crown prince. Are you really the crown prince of the dragon clan?" Wang Kai's eyes flashed. Although the young man's cultivation level was low, his status was high. If the crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan could pull his carriage, wouldn't that be awesome to the extreme? Shua! Long Hua nodded proudly. He took out a golden token from his waist and waved it in front of Wang Kai. He smiled proudly and said, "The proof is here. It can't be faked. However, this crown prince is very curious. Since you are of the Golden Dragon clan, you aren't a mixed-blood golden dragon from the 9 palaces, are you?" Long Hua nodded and said, "That should be it. If you're from the back 9 halls, how can you not recognize me?" However, Wang Kai's eyes were currently tightly fixed on the golden medallion. There was a valiant golden dragon on it. He immediately asked with a mental message, "Big dumb cat, is this medallion real?" Of course it's real. But Lord Cat doesn't think he's the real crown prince. How can the crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan behave like this? But with his cultivation level, it's difficult for him to steal the token of the Golden Dragon clan's crown prince. How strange. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and said, after all this time, he didn't know if it was real or fake. Wang Kai rolled his eyes speechlessly. Then, he gently waved his folding fan and tapped Long Hua's wrist. "Patter! Ah, what are you doing? Give me back my token." Long Hua screamed while holding his arm. He saw that his token was in Wang Kai's hand. He was so angry that his face turned green. His body trembled as he shouted, "Get lost. Go play somewhere else. I don't have time to brag with you." Wang Kai's expression was extremely impatient as he waved his hand. Immediately after, he placed his hands behind his back and took a step forward, disappearing into the horizon. Chapter 250. Little Wang, the weak are prey to the strong in this world. Don't bring trouble to yourself for unrelated people. Moreover, for human cultivators, just take talisman cultivators and array cultivators, for example. The talismans used for painting are mostly made from the skin of demon experts. Array cultivators even use the bones of demon beasts. There are also alchemists and weapon refiners. Ordinary warriors also sell demon beasts, demon cores. The enmity between the two clans has never stopped. Neoja Tian warned Wang Kai using telepathy. He had seen Wang Kai's actions clearly. He was afraid that Wang Kai wouldn't be able to control himself and cause more trouble. Although the Silver Dragon clan wasn't a first-rate clan, it was still a second-rate clan. There were holy emperors in the clan. Wang Kai wasn't a match for the Silver Dragon clan. Wang Kai's eyes flickered slightly when he heard this. It was true that the weak were prey to the strong, but what the Dragon clan had done was too much. If they were unhappy with the human clan hunting the monster beasts, why not just hunt the human clan instead? As the saying goes, if it doesn't concern you, you shouldn't care about it. As long as there was a trace of blood left in them, they couldn't bear it. The world is constantly changing. Although I can't save you now, I can still give the Silver Dragon clan some punishment. Wang Kai sighed secretly. Neoja Tian was relieved when he saw that Wang Kai had calmed down. However, the guard who was leading the way said, "Your Highness, rumor has it that there are many beautiful women in the Golden Dragon clan. Your Highness, with your status, you must bang." Plop. Neoja Tian stomped his hooves and knocked the guard to the ground. Neoja Tian shouted, "Hurry up and lead the way. Why are you still talking nonsense?" "Yes, yes, yes. Please forgive me, Your Highness." The guard rubbed his aching back and was so scared that his face turned pale. He didn't dare to say another word and just respectfully led the way. Wang Kai frowned and looked at Neoja Tian. He knew what Neoja Tian was trying to do, but inside he smiled coldly and thought, if Ben Shao sees the crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan, he'll treat him like a slave and make him Ben Shao's servant. After passing through the front hall, the back hall was much more deserted. In the back hall, there were no human women as servants. There was only a middle-aged man and a young man sitting on top of each other. The person seated at the head of the table was not their master. Instead, it was the Golden Dragon clan's second majesty, Long Xian. Sitting at the head of the table was the clan leader of the Silver Dragon clan, Long Gong. Wang Kai looked at the young man in surprise. He was dressed like him, wearing a golden robe. His face was human, and he was about 20 years old. His golden eyes and skin were quite similar to the young man who called himself the Dragon Clan's crown prince. Could it be that guy is really the Golden Dragon Clan's crown prince? Clan leader, second majesty, Crown Prince Long Hua has arrived, the guard said respectfully and then left with his head lowered. However, Long Xian and Long Gong, who were originally puzzled, had different expressions after hearing the guard's report. Long Gong was obviously very surprised. He stood up on the spot to welcome them. Bang! Long Xian stood up with a cold look in his eyes. He stared at Wang Kai and scolded sternly. How dare you? I'm your father. Wang Kai sneered disdainfully when he saw this. After interrupting his words, he waved his arm and a terrifying pressure swept out. Bang! Wawu! Long Xian was immediately shaken until his body rolled backwards. He violently collided with the wall of the hall and fell down with a painful expression. The clan leader of the Silver Dragon clan, Long Gong, did not know the truth. Both parties could not be offended, so he naturally chose to watch quietly by the side. However, Wang Kai's strength caused Long Gong to have a whole new level of respect for him. He could only quietly say that it was very different from the rumors. If you continue to spout nonsense, Ben Shao will pull out your tendons and skin you alive. Even the clan leader of the Silver Dragon clan will not be able to save you. Wang Kai's tone was dense as he transmitted a threat. However, his expression was filled with a smile and was extremely indifferent. These words immediately caused Long Xian's eyes to become even more vicious. His expression was extremely furious as he flipped his body and stood up. He sternly chided, Impudent! Do you think that the noble dragon clan will accept threats? Ah! Bang! However, before Long Xian could finish speaking, he was once again sent flying by the astonished Wang Kai with a wave of his hand. This time around, the attack was much heavier, and Long Xian fainted from the blow. Although the peak of the Saint Realm isn't too strong, it isn't weak either. To be able to have such backbone, it seems that the fellow from before is definitely not the crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan. Wang Kai secretly pondered. He walked in front of Long Xian and kept him into the Tong Tian Tower with a flip of his hand. Following which, Wang Kai sat at the head of the table with an indifferent expression. He lifted his robes and intentionally revealed the crown prince's token on his waist. Long Gong did not have any doubts in his heart. Now that he saw the crown prince's token, he immediately stepped forward and said with a friendly smile, Your Highness is indeed mighty and extraordinary. The second prince just said that he wanted me to reject Your Highness' marriage proposal. At this point, the clan leader of Long Gong paused. His eyes flickered as he sized up Wang Kai. However, he did not see anything strange at all. He did not even show any signs of anger. Little did he know that Wang Kai did not have the leisure to care about this matter. There was only one purpose for coming to the Silver Dragon clan. He immediately waved his hand and said, We'll talk about this later. Let's invite the Saintess out first. Hearing this, the clan leader of Long Gong looked a little embarrassed. He said apologetically, Your Highness, you don't know that Chi Mei went out alone to pass the tribulation. Until now, she has not returned. Chi Mei? Long Chi Mei? This name was quite interesting, especially when it was called out by her father. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. He smiled with an indifferent expression and said, Clan leader, are you joking with me? The Saintess of the Silver Dragon clan went out without permission. Don't you have the means to track her? This originally there was. However, Seventh Sister is too intelligent. Her talent is the strongest in the Silver Dragon tribe. She has already figured out all the methods in the tribe. Therefore, the tribe leader of the Long Gong tribe was embarrassed as he smiled apologetically. So there was nowhere to find her. Wang Kai was speechless. He couldn't have come to the Silver Dragon clan for nothing, right? Immediately, he smiled faintly and said, In that case, please send a Saint King expert to me. I didn't bring any guards with me this time. Well, one with a higher status and a greater reputation. This is easy. This is easy. The clan leader of Long Gong hurriedly agreed. However, a Saint King expert was naturally not a problem for the Silver Dragon clan. What's more, he could be the guard of the Golden Dragon clan. Wouldn't it be better if he could enter the Golden Dragon clan in the future? Immediately, under the command of the clan leader of Long Gong, a middle-aged man wearing silver armor and holding a silver spear stepped in with a murderous aura. Ahem, well, I never said that I would update 50 times a day. I'm afraid no one can reach that speed. Even if it's reached, the quality is definitely not high. I have always been striving for perfection, so I can only guarantee that I will update more than 10,000 words a day to repay everyone with better quality. Mighty leader, can you bear with me for a few days and let me return slowly? Thank you for your support, fellow Taoists. Please subscribe. Chapter 251. This middle-aged man was in his 40s. He had a burly body and a valiant temperament. As he walked, he was awe-inspiring. His square face was filled with coldness. His eyes were cold, and his two sword-like eyebrows were extremely thick. However, the murderous aura surrounding this Silver Dragon Clan expert made Wang Kai raise his eyebrows slightly. With a curious expression, he asked with a smile, "You should have a lot of lives in your hands, right?" As soon as these words came out, the middle-aged man's gaze froze. His expression was rather arrogant as he coldly said, "Your Highness is wise. A total of 36,512 Demon Clan experts have died in my hands. A total of 198,467 Human Clan experts have died in my hands. Every time, I have crushed their bones and scattered their ashes. I have never given them a quick death." As soon as his voice fell, the middle-aged man raised his head high as if he had done an extremely awesome thing and was waiting for praise. Wang Kai couldn't help but chuckle when he saw this. He was originally sitting upright, but at this moment he crossed his legs and flicked his sleeves, smiling indifferently as he said, "It's just a trivial 200,000 lives. Do you know that this crown prince has already killed? AI, there's simply too many, like a school of carps crossing the river, too many to count. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." However, the middle-aged man was extremely disdainful when he heard this. He sneered with a disdainful expression. "If your Highness really has such a battle record, why don't I see a trace of murderous aura?" Swoosh! As soon as these words came out, before Wang Kai could respond, the Dragon Gong clan leader's face had already turned green. He immediately scolded sternly, "Long Tian Tian, don't talk nonsense. The person in front of you is the Golden Dragon Clan's crown prince." Long Tian Tian? Wang Kai was stunned when he heard this. Such an awesome person actually had a name. He couldn't help but give a thumbs up and praise. "Good name, good spirit. Clan leader, I have changed my name to Long Tian Tian." Long Tian Tian's eyes were wide open, filled with shame and anger. It was because his name was too childish that he had experienced hundreds of battles and gained the title of Silver Dragon Killing God. However, in the eyes of the Silver Dragon Clan's elders, no matter how many lives he took, he still could not shake off the name of Long Tian Tian. "Stand down." The leader of the Dragon Gong tribe scolded and looked at Wang Kai. He respectfully said, "Your Highness, please don't blame me." Long Tian Tian, Patriarch, Long Tian Tian angrily shouted. "Ahem, Long Tian's temperament is too straightforward. I hope your Highness won't blame him." Long Gong Patriarch said apologetically. Wang Kai waved his hand carelessly and said with a smile, "It's okay. It's normal for young people to be hot-blooded." "Young people? Are you that old? Is Long Tian Tian very young?" The patriarch of the Dragon Gong clan dared to think about this, but he did not dare to say it out loud. He could only nod repeatedly in agreement. "You just said that this crown prince does not have killing intent." "Haha, a true killing expert will never reveal killing intent. If that's the case, how can I kill people? There are only two outcomes. First, the person I want to kill will run away or kneel down and beg for mercy. Second, I will be surrounded by enemies. This is the way of killing. This crown prince is at the level of an ancestor," Wang Kai said with a proud smile. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." Long Tian Tian was even more disdainful when he heard this. He waved his silver spear and pointed it at the ground with a bang. He said with a cold smile, "If the opponent kneels down and begs for mercy, I will still kill. If the opponent runs away at the sight of the wind, I will still chase them to death. If I am surrounded, I will still kill a path of blood. Even if I die in the end, I will kill a few lives to accompany me. This Long Tian Tian is really a killing god. Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he heard this. He suddenly stood up and walked in front of Long Tian Tian. He looked at him indifferently and said in an extremely calm tone, "Do you think this crown prince can lose to you?" Shua. Suddenly, Wang Kai's eyes became extremely cold. It was as if his eyes could make people fall into an abyss. Long Tiantian's pupils shrank, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. "Your Highness, you." After Long Tian reacted, the veins on his forehead popped out. He was extremely angry at himself for taking a step back. However, that cold and emotionless gaze was imprinted in the depths of Long Tiantian's heart. It wasn't killing intent, but coldness. It was a coldness that ignored everything. In terms of cruelty, Wang Kai didn't think he would lose to anyone. Even in terms of the number of lives he had taken, Wang Kai had killed hundreds of thousands of people with a flick of his finger. This number had already surpassed Long Tiantian's record. The reason why he didn't reveal killing intent like Long Tian was because of his cultivation method and system. "You are not bad. Are you famous in the Azure Dragon Mountain Range?" Wang Kai shrugged and asked with a calm smile. Long Tian wanted to be arrogant when he heard this, but because of his fear just now, he couldn't help but lower his posture. He said in a slightly stiff tone, "The Silver Dragon Killing God is me." The Silver Dragon Killing God? Wang Kai naturally didn't know his name, but since he had a name, he should be somewhat famous, right? Since that was the case, Wang Kai had achieved his goal. How could he use the identity of the Golden Dragon Clan's crown prince to travel without a famous person as a guard? Did he have to take out the crown prince token every time? Wouldn't that be very troublesome? Moreover, with such a helper, who is also an expert from the Silver Dragon Clan, it would save him a lot of trouble. After all, Wang Kai couldn't use martial skills at will. Otherwise, his identity as a human would be exposed. "Well, you can follow me in the future. Dragon Gong Clan leader, I came out in a hurry this time and didn't bring a carriage." Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile. The Dragon Gong Clan leader was very unhappy when he heard this. "You obviously took a fancy to my seventh sister, but not only did you not give a betrothal gift, you even asked for a Saint King guard. After all, both sides were mutually beneficial, but now you want a carriage." Little did he know that in Wang Kai's eyes, this was just the beginning. "Your Highness, I once participated in the auction of the Treasure Trove Pavilion and was lucky enough to buy a carriage called the Dragon's Soaring the Sky. However, its grade is only at the Quasi-Emperor level," the Dragon Gong Clan leader said with a flicker in his eyes. He secretly thought that the Golden Dragon Clan Crown Prince wouldn't be interested in a mere Quasi-Emperor level carriage, right? However, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He shrugged and nodded slightly with a smile. "Yes, the name of this carriage is exactly what I want. Dragons Soaring the Sky, TSK, take it out." As for the grade, Wang Kai naturally didn't care. With the martial skill of floral warfare, even an ordinary wooden carriage could be turned into a divine weapon. The Dragon Gong Clan leader's face suddenly stiffened when he heard this. He wanted to slap himself twice. He thought that if the grade was low, the matter would be dropped. Who would have thought that the prince would take a fancy to it? Full of excitement and emotion, at the request of fellow Taoists, I created a QQ group, Superb Bragging System, Discussion 1 group. Group number 326077524. Fellow Taoists, welcome to join the group. Let's brag together. Buching is waiting for you in the group. Chapter 252. Buzz. Long Gong's face was filled with a bitter smile. He flipped his hand and took out a small object. It was not even the size of a palm. Holding it in his palm, the golden light was extremely dazzling. Immediately, he threw the carriage on the ground. After layers of golden light appeared, it turned into a carriage that was the size of a house. There were a total of 18 golden windows on the left and right. Each golden window had a golden dragon bending its body, forming a square. At the back, there were 9 such golden windows, all of which were made of golden dragons bending their bodies. In front, there was an emerald bead curtain. At the top, there were 81 golden dragons blocking it. Their dragon mouths were angrily opened, facing a red pearl at the highest point. They seemed to be playing with the pearl, but also seemed to be fighting for it. With a wave of his hand, he opened the emerald bead curtain. Inside, there was a dragon chair and a dragon table. Even the jade plates and wine cups on the dragon table were made of golden dragons. Upon seeing this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly. His expression was rather playful as he looked at Long Gong. He smiled faintly and said, "Long Gong clan leader is quite imposing. You actually dare to use a carriage made of golden dragons as a means of transportation. TSK, TSK. Swoosh." As soon as these words were spoken, the expression of the Long Gong clan leader changed rapidly. He hurriedly said respectfully, "Your Highness, please don't misunderstand. This carriage was auctioned from the treasure-gathering pavilion. After I bought it, I have never used it even once. Now, it is naturally the most appropriate to give it to your Highness." Upon hearing this, Wang Kai casually shrugged his shoulders. He flipped his hand and kept the carriage into his space ring, after which he smiled faintly and said, "You are very good. Although this carriage is a little lacking, this prince is not such a pretentious person. I will reluctantly accept it. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have obtained 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." The face of the Long Gong clan leader was extremely stiff. However, the other party was the dignified crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan. Now, he could only suffer, but did not dare to say anything. "Patriarch Long Gong, this prince came out in a hurry this time. I originally wanted to buy some alchemy materials, but the spirit stones were left at home." Wang Kai shrugged and narrowed his eyes with a playful smile. The moment this was said, the Dragon Gong clan leader immediately became even more bitter. Without saying anything, he flipped his hand and took out a space ring. He offered it with both hands and said, "Your Highness, there are 1,000 sets of alchemy materials that the clan picked. They are all Saint grade." At the end of his words, the Dragon Gong clan leader was already gnashing his teeth. Wang Kai, who originally thought that he would have to go through a lot of trouble, raised his eyebrows when he saw this. 1,000 sets of Saint-grade elixir refining materials. One set was worth 100,000 8th-grade spirit stones. 1,000 sets. Wouldn't that be worth 100 million 8th-grade spirit stones? How could he be so generous? Wang Kai suddenly had a strange feeling, but he didn't think too much about it. Since the Silver Dragon Patriarch was so generous, he must have something to ask of the Golden Dragon Crown Prince. As for what it was, he naturally didn't care. After all, the real Golden Dragon Crown Prince was still nowhere to be found. With a flip of his hand, Wang Kai put away the space ring and shrugged. Under the astonished gaze of the Patriarch, Wang Kai opened his mouth again and smiled. "Patriarch Long Gong, this Crown Prince came out in a hurry. Your Highness, recently the Silver Dragon clan has been suppressed by the Black Dragon clan, causing more than half of the Spiritual Stone Mountain Range and Spiritual Medicine Mountain Range that belong to our clan have been cut off. Now it's really," the Dragon Gong clan leader said with grief and resentment. "Black Dragon clan? Spiritual Stone Mountain Range and Spiritual Medicine Mountain Range?" Wang Kai's eyes flickered slightly when he heard this. It was understandable that the spiritual medicine used to refine the elixir grew in the mountain range, but he didn't expect that the spiritual stone could also appear in the mountain range. "Haha, this is a small matter. May I know where the Spiritual Stone Mountain Range and Spiritual Medicine Mountain Range are?" Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. It was as if the matter could be solved easily. Such an attitude naturally caused a Dragon Gong clan leader to be overjoyed. Giving such benefits and not hesitating to let the strongest in the clan, Long Chi-mei, marry Long Hua, was it not to solve the difficulties created by the Black Dragon clan? The Spiritual Stone Mountain Range and Spiritual Medicine Mountain Range are at the border of the Black Dragon clan's territory. In the past, the Black Dragon clan would not be so arrogant. It is only because a Saint Emperor expert has successfully appeared in their clan. So, the Dragon Gong clan leader shook his head and sighed. Wang Kai naturally understood this very well. For example, a second-rate power like the Silver Dragon clan only possessed a single Saint Emperor. Once this balance was broken, then the consequences were obvious. However, in Wang Kai's opinion, if the Silver Dragon clan couldn't deal with a Saint Emperor expert, Ben Shao wouldn't be able to either. At that moment, Wang Kai pretended to frown in deep thought. Under the extremely expectant and urgent gaze of the Dragon Gong tribe leader, he finally opened his mouth and said with a smile, "This matter is simple. When this prince returns to the Green Dragon Mountain, I will naturally invite the experts in the tribe to come and help the Silver Dragon tribe." Swoosh! Once these words were spoken, the Dragon Gong clan leader's expression immediately stiffened. He forced a smile and said, "Your Highness, actually, as long as you personally appear the Black Dragon clan." Wang Kai immediately waved his hand and refused. What a joke! It had to be the real crown prince. If he went and made a mistake, wouldn't he definitely fall? Wang Kai was 10,000 times unwilling to do such a thing without confidence. Ha! The Dragon Gong clan leader may have misunderstood. My intention is to use the Black Dragon clan's invasion as an excuse to directly exterminate the entire clan. If the Dragon Gong clan leader thinks that this is inappropriate, then I will go with you. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade Saint King realm. Plop! As soon as these words came out, before the Dragon Gong clan leader, who was full of surprise, could speak, Long Tian immediately knelt on the ground and shouted excitedly, "Your Highness, I am willing to go with you to battle. I will definitely uproot the Black Dragon clan." Battle my ass. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly, and his forehead was full of black lines. He waved his hand and said, "Since this is the case, there is no time to lose. I will go back to my clan now. Long Tian, you go back with me." "Yes, Your Highness." Long Tian immediately responded excitedly. Seeing this, the Dragon Gong clan leader was very excited. He personally sent Wang Kai out of the Silver Dragon clan, as if he was sending off his grandfather. Looking at Wang Kai and Long Tian, who were walking away, the Dragon Gong clan leader sneered, "Haha, damn Black Dragon clan. In less than 3 days, you will be destroyed." At the same time, in the void, Long Tian followed behind Wang Kai, but found that the direction was not Green Dragon Mountain. He immediately asked doubtfully, "Your Highness, Green Dragon Mountain should be in the east." I just thought about it. It's just the Black Dragon clan. As long as I go out, is there anything I can't settle? I just need to point a finger and I can kill all the Black Dragons. Why do I need the Golden Dragon clan's Saint Emperor to come? Wang Kai said proudly with his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. The QQ discussion group has been created. Maybe some of you don't like to join the group. Booching naturally does not dare to force you, but if you like to chat, you can join the group to brag. Booching is waiting. QQ group number 326077524. Chapter 253. He could kill the entire Black Dragon clan with one finger? Was he really that strong? Long Tian's expression changed. If he was that strong, why was the Golden Dragon clan's crown prince only a great emperor? However, Long Tian couldn't be sure about what had just happened in the Silver Dragon clan. The kind of cold and heartless look was not something a weakling could have. But no matter what, he had to inform the clan leader as soon as possible. Long Tian said respectfully, "Your Highness, since you have decided to come to the Black Dragon clan, you should bring the clan leader with you." Bring the clan leader of the Silver Dragon clan? How would he get anything from the Black Dragon clan? After all, Wang Kai's goal wasn't really to exterminate the Black Dragon clan. Even if he had the ability Wang Kai wouldn't do it. It was all for the spirit stones and spirit herbs. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Before Long Gong could finish speaking, Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted him. He smiled faintly and said, "There is no need to call tribe leader Long Gong. This crown prince alone is enough to exterminate the entire Black Dragon tribe and let the entire demon continent know what it means to be a king. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Slap, slap, slap. Long Tian Tian wanted to say something, but Neoja Tian knocked him aside with his horns. "Little boy, you're the king of the Silver Dragon clan. You're the Crown Prince's guard. Of course, you have to obey the Crown Prince's orders. If you don't obey him, I'll kick you to death." Shua. Long Tiantian's expression suddenly changed. He turned around and looked at Neo Zhetian in shock. He said, "When did you get behind me?" Neo Zhetian's face turned green. He didn't know that Neo Zhetian had been behind him for a long time. He said, "Impudent. Master Neo is the Crown Prince's sworn brother. If you dare disrespect him." As he spoke, Neo Zhetian's eyes widened. He looked like he was ready to fight. "Your Highness, is that really you?" Long Tian Tian gulped. He wanted to fight Neo Zhetian, but he had to be careful because of Neo Zhetian's status. The dignified killing god Silver Dragon was nothing in the face of power. Wang Kai shook his head in amusement when he saw this. He clasped his hands behind his back and lightly said, "Lead the way. Let's go to the mountain range where the spirit stones and spirit herbs are. This crown prince wants to see just how awesome the Black Dragon clan is." Long Tian Tian looked solemn as he led the way. Behind them, Wang Kai and Neoja Tian were talking to each other. "Little Wang, are you going to use the same method you used on the Silver Dragons to deal with the Black Dragons?" Neoja Tian asked. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him curiously. Puzzled, he asked, "Can I? It's not like Ben Shao is going to exterminate them. He's just going to reap some benefits. How much can we get? Even if we get more than the Silver Dragon clan, how much more can we get?" Neoja Tian said disdainfully. Neoja Tian had always wanted to avoid trouble, but now he didn't say a word. It seemed like he didn't want to reap enough benefits. Wang Kai was surprised. He clasped his hands behind his back and landed on Neoja Tian's back. He asked curiously, "Old Neo, do you have another idea? Could it be that he wanted to be beaten up outside for a few hours like the golden-winged great rocks? If that's the case, Ben Shao doesn't mind cooperating with you. Beat up your ass. I won't argue with you for the sake of the spirit stones and spirit herbs." Neoja Tian's face was trembling. He looked angry and said, "Little Wang, don't forget that there's a young Pai Xiao in the Tower of Babel." Pai Xiao? Wang Kai frowned when he heard that. He immediately understood what Neoja Tian was thinking. He couldn't help but ask, "Does the Pai Xiao eat spirit stones and spirit herbs?" Of course, if you put the Pai Xiao in the mountain of spirit stones and spirit herbs, it will eat all the spirit stones and spirit herbs in the mountain in one night. Neoja Tian said, "In one night, it will eat all the spirit stones and spirit herbs in the mountain. That's awesome." Wang Kai was stunned when he heard that. He hadn't thought that the Pai Xiao would have such an ability. How is Ben Shao going to make the Pai Xiao spit out what it ate? Don't tell me you want this young master to peel open his stomach? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. He knew that Neoja Tian must have a plan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come up with such a plan. In the end, Neoja Tian must have taken a fancy to the spirit stones and spirit herbs. Bang bang. Neoja Tian snorted and said using telepathy, "Of course there's a way, but I will tell you after I succeed. Get the advantage of dividing the spoils first." Wang Kai knew what Neoja Tian was planning, but he didn't care. As long as the spoils were in front of him, he wouldn't be able to decide how much to divide. There were too many ways to deal with Neoja Tian. "No problem, let's do it." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Neoja Tian rolled his big black eyes and smiled. "Little boy, I will show you what it means to make mistakes. Your Highness, we have arrived at the Silver Medicine Mountain." Long Tian Tian paused and raised his hand to point at a mountain peak below. Silver Medicine Mountain? Wang Kai was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect even the name of the mountain to be so strange. Looking down, his eyes couldn't help but fall on a stone tablet. Shouldn't the words carved on the stone tablet be Black Stone, Black Medicine Mountain? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. At the foot of the mountain stood an enormous black stone tablet. 5 large words were carved on it, and they were precisely Black Stone, Black Medicine Mountain. No, the Black Dragon clan changed it. It should have been Silver Medicine Mountain. Long Tian said coldly. Was the mountain named after the mountain to prove who it belonged to? This was rather interesting. Wang Kai shook his head in amusement. With his hands behind his back, he smiled faintly and said, "Go down and challenge them. To shout for the Black Dragon race to scram from this mountain." Hearing this, Long Tian's expression froze. His smile became unnatural as he said, "Your Highness, are you not coming down with us? Didn't you say that you were going to fight, even if you couldn't beat them? Are you bragging to Ben Shao?" Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him mockingly. Long Tian's smile became even uglier. He thought to himself that there was no other way. Now that there was a way out, who would choose to die? He was an idiot. "That, Your Highness, I think it's better if we go together," Long Tian said respectfully. Hearing this, Wang Kai casually waved his hand and smiled indifferently. "Long Tian, you have to know that this crown prince is such an amazing character. He usually only appears at critical moments. You can rest assured that this crown prince will rush over to save you before you lose your life. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. QQ Discussion Group 326077524. The first batch of people to join the group are all senior members. They will definitely receive supreme techniques and attract the attention of countless beauties and handsome men. Seeing that your bragging is good, you can send some tips to thank everyone for their support. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.